It was nighttime when the taxi came to a halt, rain pattering against the windows. "We're here, miss," the cab driver said, glancing back at his passenger. "You don't look so well. Do you want me to send you to the hospital?" "No thanks, keep the change," the lady replied quietly, handing him some money. She wore a sad and sickly expression. Collecting the fare, the driver thought of her as a weird passenger. Stepping out of the taxi, she opened her umbrella to shield herself from the rain. Approaching her apartment, sounds of intimacy floated from inside. She paused, not entirely surprised. Unlocking the door, she sighed before pushing it open. Inside, her fiancé was entwined with another woman, their heavy breaths filling the room. With a stern gaze, he acknowledged her presence. "You're back," he stated casually before returning his attention to the other woman beside him. His fiancée responded with a stern look as he finished his last thrust. "Make something for me, I'm hungry," he ordered, ignoring her presence as he wrapped his lower body. "Wayne, is this your domestic helper?" "She's quite young," remarked the unknown woman. "Why are you still here?" he snapped, his tone harsh. "Wayne," the unknown woman teased. "Scram," he shouted at the unknown woman, who left them as his fiancé also headed into the kitchen. As she prepared something, Wayne entered, a cigarette hanging from his lips as he attempted to light it. "Come with me to the party tomorrow afternoon," Wayne said, interrupting her thoughts. "I'm not feeling well," she replied. Before she could suggest staying home, Wayne cut her off. "No, this is a project that I have to get." "Okay," she said calmly. For the past 5 years, Wayne had dragged her to various parties, turning a blind eye to those who took advantage of her. Slicing the fish, she thought, "He's taking revenge for my betrayal that time," before accidentally cutting herself. As she lifted her hand, seeing the blood drop, she made a decision. "Wayne Luo, let's break up," she told him. "Break up?" "You can forget about it," Wayne said, his fury evident as he approached her, his hand gripping her neck. "You caused my family to be a laughingstock 5 years ago when you ran away from our wedding, and now you're thinking of betraying me again?" he demanded, tightening his grip. "I'm not," she managed to say, struggling to breathe. "I ignored the violent objections of my family then and looked for you all over the world like a fool," Wayne continued, easing his grip slightly. Tears welled in her eyes as she tried to explain. "No, it's not like that," she managed to say. "Sophia Tang, I feel disgusted just looking at you now. It feels like I've dirted my hand when I touch you," Wayne spat out, his words dripping with spite. "In that case, why don't you let me go? I promise I'll never appear in front of you again, and you'll never be disgusted by me," Sophia pleaded. "Stop dreaming. Even if I have to tie you up, I'll keep you by my side," Wayne declared, his expression cold. "I'm going to torment you day and night. You'll wish you were dead. I'll make you pay the price for your betrayal," he added before forcefully releasing her and storming out of the kitchen, slamming the door behind him. Alone and broken, Sophia sank to her knees on the floor, weeping. "He used to love me with all his heart and swore to pamper me my whole life. The reason he's become like this is because of what happened 5 years ago," she thought, consumed by sorrow. It was 5 years ago on Sophia's wedding day, a day meant to be the pinnacle of joy. Holding a bouquet of flowers, she wondered, "I am curious if Wayne will kiss me in excitement when I see him later," as she waited in the bride's room. However, the situation took a bewildering turn when she suddenly lost consciousness, unable to recall the moment it happened. Awakening in a hospital bed, weak and disoriented, she was blindsided by the doctor's announcement, "You have to rest well for a couple of days. Your body will be weaker after you just gave birth," she said. Shocked, Sophia struggled to comprehend how she could have been pregnant without knowing it. Pregnant? Who was the one that made me pregnant? "Where's the baby?" she asked. The doctor's silence only deepened her confusion, leaving her swirling with emotions, bewilderment, fear, and a sense of disconnection from her own life. The gentle rhythm of the four-drip offered a semblance of calm amidst the turmoil. She only had memories until the day of the wedding. Without the medical records as proof, she would have found it impossible to believe she had given birth. The explanation that she had been brought to the hospital after nearly drowning, an event that erased her memory of her pregnancy, only added to her perplexity. As she lay there, questions echoed in her mind, unanswered and haunting. How could she have forgotten such a significant part of her life? The silence that met her inquiries left her adrift, trapped in a cycle of torment and uncertainty. The looming presence of her fiancé, Wayne Luo, whose intentions remained veiled in menace, compounded her torment and uncertainty. "Miss Tang," someone called, snapping Sophia back to the present. "Miss Tang," an elderly man called her as he smiled wryly at her as he proposed a toast. She thought, how revolting. "Thank you, President Zhu," she said, forcing a smile of gratitude as she drank the wine. "I can't take it anymore," she thought. Feeling dizzy, she excused herself and made her way out of the meeting room as she heard President Zhu laughing and saying, "Oh, Wayne, this girl you brought is not bad," tears streaming down her face as she sought solace in the restroom. The faint echoes of laughter followed her, a cruel reminder of her vulnerability. In her haste, she collided with a stranger, tumbling into his arms. Her head spun as the stranger asked, "Aren't you going to get up?" Her apology was a feeble murmur amidst her disorientation gripping her. Sophia's grip tightened on the stranger as dizziness enveloped her. "That's my—" Before he could finish his thought, he shouted at her, "Let go." Her senses failed her amidst the swirling chaos, prompting a swift apology as she withdrew her hands, her head swimming with disorientation. The young man's expression was vexed. Without hesitation, he grabbed her and pulled her over. Their sudden tumble to the ground left Sophia sprawled atop him, her world spinning out of control. He instructed his assistant to turn around, which he did willingly. With gentle strength, he held her into a sitting position. "Ugh. I feel like puking," she said tearfully as he ordered her to shut up, trying to stand up, and upon doing so she puked on him, and she felt a moment of clarity. "Phew, that felt good," she smiled. Apologies tumbled from her lips as she sought assistance, oblivious to the identity of the man who she had soiled. Only when she glanced up did she realize her unwitting companion was none other than Marco Jian, the enigmatic and powerful figure who commanded the city with a mere gesture. Regret and disbelief mingled in Sophia's mind as she grappled with the implications of her unexpected encounter. How had she become entangled with someone like Marco Jian? The weight of her actions bore down on her, leaving her questioning her own judgment. In a cruel twist of fate, Sophia's consciousness faltered once more, her body succumbing to the overwhelming turmoil of the moment. As she slumped unconscious to the floor, Marco Jian watched impassively and said, "She fainted. You know how to handle this, don't you?" His assistant, at a loss for how to proceed in the face of this unexpected turn of events, said, "Not really." As Marco departed, his decree of a penalty hung in the air, leaving the assistant in stunned silence. Marco thought, "What's going on? I was actually not against having contact with this woman." The assistant's fingers moved swiftly over his phone's screen, summoning emergency assistance to the scene. Marco's departure left behind a lingering sense of bewilderment, his own thoughts, a tumult of confusion and unexpected emotions. Marco looked back and thought, could it be that my gynophobia was cured? Marco pondered inwardly, his look startled his assistant into a shocked pause. As Marco cast a lingering glance back at Sophia, his assistant hastened to attend to her, grappling with the sudden shift in their circumstances. As the assistant navigated the hospital corridors, attracting curious and concerned stares. Their journey through the hospital was interrupted by the curious encounter of a young boy, as he called, Uncle, who brazenly accused the assistant of nefarious intentions towards Sophia. Lee, the assistant, called the young boy a little master, as he attempted to defuse the situation, thinking, "Please let it go, little master." The boy's bargaining chip, knowledge of previous victims, sent a shiver down Lee's spine, but he quickly redirected the conversation towards lighter topics, enticing the boy with promises of future gifts and adventures. "I know Uncle Lee treats me the best," the boy said, feeling happy. Relieved by the boy's acquiescence, Lee continued his quest for medical assistance, grateful for the respite from further complications. As they made their way through the hospital corridors, the young boy's curiosity bubbled forth once more. "Who's this beautiful lady you're carrying, uncle?" he inquired innocently. "I'm not quite sure," Lee replied, his tone tinged with amusement. "Your daddy scared her so much that she fainted." The boy's brow furrowed in contemplation, his mind swirling with thoughts beyond his years. "Other women can't wait to give themselves to Dad when they see him," he mused thoughtfully, yet she was actually so scared that she fainted? Could this be it, the fated girl that God arranged for me? With each step, his imagination ran wild, envisioning a potential romance unfolding before him. Does she have a boyfriend? Does she mind having a younger boyfriend? He wondered, the possibility sparking a flicker of excitement within him. Meanwhile, Lee maintained a steady pace, his focus unwavering as he sought out a doctor to tend to Sophia. Sophia was slowly regaining consciousness, receiving the care she needed. The boy, with an air of authority unbefitting his age, started ushering Lee out of the room. "You don't need to stick around here. I got this," he said, half-jokingly nudging Lee towards the door. "Wouldn't want to get in the way of my time with this beautiful lady," he added with a grin that was too mischievous for his own good. Soon after, Sophia stirred, letting out a soft cough as she opened her eyes to the unfamiliar surroundings. "Oh, you're awake? Beautiful lady, how do you feel?" the boy inquired with a mix of concern and excitement in his voice. Sophia, still disoriented, managed to sit up, her eyes settling on the young boy standing at her bedside. "Who are you, kid?" she asked, confusion lacing her words. The boy giggled as he straightened up, cleared his throat with an exaggerated gesture, and introduced himself with a flourish. "Hello, beautiful lady, let me introduce myself. My name is Romeo Jen." "Yes, Romeo as in Romeo and Juliet. I am your future husband," he declared, his face breaking into a hopeful smile. Sophia couldn't help but let out a surprised smirk. My, what a declaration to make," she said, taken aback yet amused. He continued, "It's love at first sight. I believe that you'll fall for me too." She thought, what a cute kid, as she giggled. "Thank you, but I can't be your wife because I already have a fiancé," she gently let him down. Romeo said with a straight face, "That doesn't matter. I've learned on television that if you like something you should fight for it." His words were earnest, reflecting a simplicity and innocence that touched Sophia's heart. Sophia smiled softly, a warm feeling spreading through her. "Thank you, young man. It's been quite some time since someone has made me feel so valued," she shared, her voice tinged with a hint of sadness. Romeo's expression turned thoughtful, a slight frown forming as he processed her words. "Beautiful lady, are you unhappy about it?" he asked, his concern genuine. "No, I'm not," Sophia admitted, her gaze meeting his. Changing the subject slightly, she asked, "And what about you? Are you here by yourself? Where are your parents?" The shift in conversation marked a moment of connection between them, opening the door to a deeper understanding and perhaps the beginning of an unexpected friendship. "I haven't had a mommy since I was young. I only have a daddy, and he's a super-duper cold-blooded baddie who only knows how to scold me, shouts at me, forbids me from doing this and that," Romeo shared with Sophia, his voice carrying a hint of vulnerability. Sophia, moved by his confession, gently urged, "Grow up quickly and work hard to become stronger. That way nobody will dare to bully you anymore." Romeo looked up at Sophia with wide eyes as she patted him on the head. With a hopeful tone, he asked, "Beautiful lady, can you protect me then?" Sophia sighed softly, her gaze filled with a mix of empathy and resignation. "I'm sorry, I can't even protect myself," she confessed. Undeterred, little Romeo hugged Sophia tightly and reassured her, "That's fine. I can protect you even though I'm still little. Grandpa and Grandma both said that I'm the little man of the house." Sophia, caught off guard by his innocence, couldn't help but be touched. "Okay, you can protect me. But before you protect me, can you tell me who you came here with? Where's your family?" "Don't worry, they'll definitely find me," a little Romeo replied with confidence, his excitement evident as he nestled in Sophia's arms. Just as the warmth of their connection was settling in, the nurse interrupted, announcing, "It's time for your injection." Little Romeo reluctantly detached himself from Sophia, and as the nurse prepared Sophia for her shot, he walked to a nearby table. In an attempt to quietly withdraw from the scene, he froze when Sophia unexpectedly called out, "Aren't you going to hand that over?" Confused, Romeo turned to her, innocently asking, "Hand what over?" "Hand it over quickly. That thing is too dangerous, it's not something that a child like you should play with," Sophia scolded Romeo. "Fine," he said as he reluctantly handed over the injection he had hidden. She continued, "A kid who steals things is not a good kid, people will not like you." "No, beautiful lady," he replied remorsefully. Suddenly the door slammed open and a lady with a disgusted look burst in. Startled, Romeo clung to Sophia. "Who's that?" Sophia asked, but Romeo was too scared to answer as he hugged her tightly. Pointing at Sophia, the woman accused her of being a human trafficker and called for the guards who suddenly appeared. Sophia and Romeo both felt a wave of fear. After the chaotic event, Marco Jian, a man who was the one Sophia had initially offended, stood in front of her. She couldn't shake off a sense of unease. "Romeo Jian," Marco ordered, "come back." However, Romeo defiantly replied, "No, I want to be with this beautiful lady. I don't want to go back." Marco turned to his staff, instructing, "Nanny Zhang, take him away." "Got it," came the nanny's reply. As she whisked little Romeo away, she said, "Little master, be good and come home with me." He resisted, "No, I don't want to go back. I want to be with the beautiful lady, I don't want to go back," he said tearfully, screaming for Sophia to save him. He didn't want to go back, he wanted to be with her. Sophia was left speechless, feeling the weight of the situation. "He's just a child," she whispered to herself. "Miss Tang," Marco Jian called, "we caused you trouble because of a mistake by our butler. Just name the compensation that you need." Sophia held her chest, a mix of emotions overwhelming her. I want." She hesitated, contemplating the consequences of her decision. "For the new energy source development project, could you consider the Luo group?" she said. Marco laughed and said, "That's the compensation that you want? You're really not holding back." Sophia hesitated, then replied, "No, that's not it. Since that's not it, then take the money and go," Marco interrupted, handing her a check for 1 million. Sophia shook her head, declining the check. "No, it's not that," she said firmly. Marco was taken aback by her refusal. "This woman seems to be so soft." As he tried to raise his hand, he thought, resisting the urge to pat her on the head. Sophia remained silent, gathering her thoughts. 1 million is too little. "I've decided to take the new energy source project instead," she declared without hesitation. "You're a greedy woman indeed," Marco exclaimed, surprised by her boldness. Sophia smiled softly, thanking him for the compliment. She had endured worse labels in the past 5 years. "That's why I don't mind another greedy label," Sophia thought. Writing another check for her. "This is 10 million. Take it and don't disturb me again," he said, handing her the check before walking away. As Sophia held the check, she pondered over the person she had become. "Who's this person standing over here now?" she wondered to herself. "This kind of person, not even I can recognize myself anymore." Returning to her apartment, Sophia could hear Wayne in bed with another woman. She entered the room without acknowledging the noise. "You're back," Wayne said, indifferent to her presence. "Yes," Sophia replied tersely. "Where did you go today?" Wayne inquired. "Hospital," Sophia responded coldly. "Who permitted you to go there?" "I've said it numerous times, we must get the contract with Boss Zhu. Yet you sneaked away at such a critical juncture? Tell me, how do you want to make amends for it?" Wayne's voice was firm with disapproval. Sorry, Sophia murmured, her voice tinged with regret as she tried to explain. "Sorry, how much is your sorry worth?" Wayne's anger was palpable. Boss Zhu has a room at the Hilton Hotel tonight. Go and keep him company for a night. Here's the room card, Wayne instructed, handing over the card to her. Sophia trembled as she held on to the card, feeling the weight of her situation. Wayne and his spouse laughed, oblivious to her distress. One day, Wayne Luo, you'll expend every drop of love that I have for you, Sophia said, tears trickling down her cheek. After I help you get this business, we're even, she added, picking up the room card on the table beside Wayne. She was done being his slave. Where are you going? Wayne asked as Sophia stormed out of the room in tears. At the Hilton Hotel, Sophia was involved in a covert operation. Madame Zhu, I have evidence of your husband's extramarital affairs. If you're willing to sign a contract with the Luo Group, I will hand over the evidence to you. Yes, now room 666, she conveyed over a phone call to President Zhu's wife as she held the room card. Wayne Luo, this is the last favor I'll do for you. After this, we'll go our separate ways and I'll live my own life, Sophia reflected internally. Engrossed in her thoughts, she accidentally bumped into a stranger in the hallway, causing her bag to spill its contents. The lady she collided with screamed, "Don't you know how to walk properly? Are your eyes on your butt?" Despite Sophia's apologies, the lady dismissed her with a harsh, "What a jinx," as she gathered her belongings, inadvertently swapping their room cards. Feeling a wave of sickness and pondering the lady's harsh words, Sophia approached what she believed was her intended destination. I'm here, she thought, unlocking the door to room 999 and entering quietly. She noticed the sound of running water from the bathroom and pondered whether Boss Zhu was still showering. Despite feeling uncomfortable, she decided to proceed with her plan, convincing herself to endure the upcoming encounter by closing her eyes, likening it to an unpleasant necessity as she lay down. Meanwhile, Marco Jian was in the shower, feeling the aftereffects of the alcohol he had consumed earlier. Those guys really did everything they could to get me drunk, he reflected, acknowledging his overindulgence as his vision began to blur slightly. As he wrapped himself in a towel and stepped out of the bathroom, he was unaware of Sophia's presence in his room. Lying down on the bed, Marco's arm brushed against Sophia, startling him. Someone's here, he realized. Confusion clouded his thought as he wondered if they had orchestrated this encounter. You, he uttered, surprised to see Sophia sleeping before him. She seemed unaware of his presence, her eyes shut tightly. It's her, he thought. Marco's confusion only deepened as Sophia suddenly embraced him and whispered, "Hug me." Startled by her unexpected actions, Marco was too shocked to react, his mind filled with questions about the bizarre situation unfolding before him. Sophia clung to Marco, her whispered plea laden with desperation. "Hold me tight and don't leave me," she implored, her hands on him in a seducing manner. Marco couldn't help but recall that pivotal night 5 years ago, the memory casting a shadow over his fidelity since. Yet Sophia's touch didn't repulse him, granting him a fleeting reprieve from his inner turmoil. Then let me use this body of mine and enjoy it as much as I can, he resolved silently. Beneath the cover of darkness, Marco and Sophia surrendered to their desires, cherishing each fleeting moment shared between them. As dawn approached, Sophia stirred, her heart heavy with a familiar ache. Wayne Luo should be very satisfied this time, she murmured, a single tear betraying her facade as she heard running water. With a resigned sigh, she knew she had to leave, her gaze searching for the absence of Boss Zhu beside her, who was in the showers. Sophia's plans to slip away were thwarted by the realization that her clothes lay in tatters. Donning the only salvageable garment, a discarded shirt, she stepped into the morning light, her figure swallowed by its oversized embrace. Suddenly a voice pierced the silence, calling her sister. Sarah Tang, her stepsister, stood before her, concern etched upon her features. Sarah Tang, why is my stepsister here, she thought. Did Boss Zhu bully you, she inquired, reaching out in a futile attempt to offer solace. But Sophia, consumed by her own tumultuous thoughts, brushed past her without a word, each step a silent plea for escape. I know you hate me, but I can't stand by and watch others take advantage of you. Sarah Tang's voice cut through the air, drawing the attention of curious onlookers. Murmurs rippled through the gathering crowd as they observed the unfolding drama. "What's going on?" "Seems like there's a show," some whispered, their interest piqued. Sarah firmly grasped Sophia's arm, urging her to retreat. "Let's go back and get father to help you," she implored. But Sophia recoiled, wrenching her arm away with a sharp retort. "Shut up, Sarah Tang." Sophia's words were laced with bitterness. "Your mother successfully worked her way up as a mistress and chased my mother and me out of the family so many years ago. I can finally have a normal life now, yet now you suddenly appear here to slander me, saying that I've been taken advantage of. What's your motive?" she asked her stepsister. Sarah stood frozen, her shock palpable as Sophia's accusations hung in the air. The gathered crowd exchanged hushed comments, piecing together the fragments of the family drama playing out before them. "So her mother was a mistress," one woman murmured, a note of judgment in her voice. "She seems so gentle, but she's actually a scheming girl," another speculated, their eyes flickering with newfound suspicion. Sarah tried defending herself. Amidst the murmurs, Wayne Luo's voice boomed, cutting through the tension like a thunderclap. "Sophia Tang," his accusation rang out, his anger palpable as he confronted Sophia. "You're wearing a man's shirt. What did you do behind my back last night?" The air crackled with tension as Sophia braced herself for the storm of accusations that threatened to engulf her. Wayne's grip tightened on Sophia's arm, and through the haze of confusion she caught Sarah's smirk. It dawned on her then, Sarah and Wayne were complicit in this deceit. With a swift motion, Sophia wrenched herself free from Wayne's grasp. "My dear fiancé, you drugged me yourself last night for the sake of your business and sent me to another man. How could you forget about it after just one night?" Sophia's accusation pierced the charged atmosphere, drawing gasps from the crowd. Anger simmered among them, their voices rising in condemnation. "Is this man sick? Sending his fiancée to the bed of another man. He's inhuman, my God," the murmurs swirled around, echoing Sophia's indignation. Wayne's response was swift, hurling slanderous words at Sophia in a desperate attempt to deflect blame. But Sophia refused to back down, her resolve unyielding. "What are you then?" she countered, her voice cutting through the chaos. "You've not touched me for 5 years, yet you bring a different woman back every day to sleep in our bed. I'm better off with another." Despite not having laid eyes on the man from the previous night, Sophia stood her ground, knowing she couldn't afford to falter. Wayne, fueled by rage and embarrassment, demanded to know the identity of the other man, his hand poised to strike. But before he could land the blow, Sophia stumbled backward, colliding with someone behind her, leaving them shocked. As she fell, Sophia's senses were overwhelmed by a familiar scent. Marco Jian's voice cut through the chaos, his question laden with curiosity and a hint of amusement. "Are you wearing my shirt because you're in love with my scent?" he questioned her. Sophia's heart pounded as realization dawned on her, the man she was with last night was Marco. Shock rippled through her, her world suddenly tilting on its axis. Last night," she stammered. Sophia was caught off guard by Marco's invitation to breakfast. "Let's go, I've specially ordered a grand breakfast for you," he said, making Sophia momentarily forget her current troubles. Wayne's abrupt interruption. "Stop right there," Wayne said, however, jolted her back to reality as he grabbed her arm, asserting his claim over her. Marco, unfazed, challenged Wayne. "Let go," he said. "She is mine, you're the one who should let go," Wayne said to Marco, questioning his intentions and warning him against further aggression. Marco issued a stern warning to Wayne, emphasizing the consequences of his actions. "You don't know what's good for you." "What use do you have for that arm?" Marco said angrily. In the ensuing scuffle, someone intervened, freeing Sophia and causing Wayne injury as he screamed. As Marco led Sophia away, he said, "This is just a small warning. If you do this again, I'll destroy that arm of yours." Wayne, nursing his arm, vowed revenge, while Sarah rushed to his aid, expressing her concern and affection. After receiving medical attention, Sarah asked him, "Wayne, how is it? Are you feeling any better?" Wayne reassured Sarah of his well-being. I was so scared. If something were to really happen to you, what should I do? Prompting her to confess her long-standing love for him. They shared a romantic moment in his car, unaware that Sophia and Marco observed from a distance. When Marco questioned Sophia about her feelings for Wayne, she denied any heartache, revealing that her love for Wayne had waned over the years. With a resolute expression, she conveyed her detachment from the situation. Marco recalled Lee's earlier revelation about Sophia Tang's unexpected appearance in his room was a mistake, realizing it was meant to be an arrangement orchestrated by Wayne Luo for Boss Zhu. Despite the circumstances, Marco found himself intrigued by Sophia's presence, sensing a twist of fate at play. Marco, undeterred, sought to rectify the misunderstanding, offering Sophia compensation for the inconvenience caused. Sophia, however, graciously declined Marco's offer, considering his earlier assistance as sufficient. Marco, persistent in his desire to help, pressed Sophia to name her desired compensation. Name it, he said with a commanding tone. With a hint of mischief, Sophia requested Marco's assistance in severing ties with Wayne Luo and ensuring her safety from him. Marco, intrigued by Sophia's request, said, "That's too simple." "What else?" he demanded as he drew closer to her in a flirtatious exchange, leaving her surprised. Amid their intimacy, Sophia confided in Marco, expressing her desire to settle down and reunite with her mother. "That's it?" he asked. "Yes, that's it," she replied. "Why is he not saying anything? Were my requests too much?" she thought. Marco's reaction was not immediately apparent as his attention was diverted by an unexpected phone call from his mother. Just in time, he thought. The call revealed familial pressure for Marco to marry, prompting Sophia to wonder about the complexities of Marco's affluent background. On the phone with Marco's mother, his grandmother attempted to sway him toward marriage. "My dear, you'll scare Marky like this. Here, let me talk to him. Marky, I have picked a few candidates to be my granddaughter-in-law for you. They're all very beautiful, docile, and demure." She even mentioned specially prepared tonic soups to entice him. However, Marco politely declined, suggesting they reserve those options for his other relatives who might need assistance more than him. Interrupting, Marco's aunt offered her own selection of suitors. "Marky, I'm your second aunt. Don't listen to them, they're all not dependable at all. I've prepared a few very well-mannered Adonises, and they're all very energetic," causing Sophia to laugh out loud. Her laughter was heard on the other side of the phone, causing silence. Amidst the familial insistence, Marco's mother demanded he bring his current companion, Sophia, back home immediately. Caught off guard, Sophia realized her presence had been revealed, and Marco remained silent, seemingly resigned to his mother's demands. With a final decree, Marco declared he would personally ensure he brought a daughter-in-law, ending the call abruptly. The situation left Sophia shocked, and Marco smiled, knowing it was all part of his plan to let Sophia's voice be heard and prompt his family to take the initiative to ask him to bring the female companion he was with. Sophia apologized sincerely, admitting her mistake, to which Marco Jian responded calmly, assuring her that he had a solution to help her deal with the rabid dog Wayne for good. "How?" Sophia inquired, seeking his advice. "Marriage," Marco Jian proposed plainly. Sophia was taken aback, her mind racing through the absurdity of the suggestion. "Give me your family register and identification card," he said to her, which she did. "Sign, fill out the form," Marco demanded, to which she complied. "We'll go for a photoshoot after signing. I've already thought of the style that we should go for," he said. "Wait. Explain everything to me." "What are you doing?" she asked, trying to grasp his intent. Marco paused, then explained his reasoning. "You see, your timely presence has inadvertently helped me overcome my lifelong allergy to women, including my mother," he confessed, revealing a personal truth. "Yet you were seated in the front seat of my car earlier and your laughter was heard over the phone by the other side. Do you know what that means?" "What?" Sophia asked. "Now my family, who's been relentless about me finding a partner, can finally stop worrying." Sophia absorbed this revelation, realizing the unexpected consequences of their encounter. "I'm no longer allergic to women," Marco affirmed, a hint of stress in his voice. "And now my eager family can start sending potential matches my way. By marrying me, you'll put an end to my family's incessant pestering, and Wayne Luo won't dare to harass you anymore," Marco explained, his tone resolute. Sophia, still reeling from his proposal, confronted him about his earlier claim of being allergic to women. "But last night she started, her fear and confusion evident. Marco gently touched her chin, reassuring her. "Obviously, I'm not allergic to you," he affirmed softly. Sophia realized she couldn't keep her past hidden any longer. Honesty was necessary. "I've been engaged before and I have a child. There's a chance I may never conceive again," she confessed, bracing herself for his reaction. Marco, however, remained unfazed. "You're overthinking it," he reassured her. "All I need is a wife who doesn't trigger my allergies, and I need you to help me end all the trouble. And you need a way out of your situation. It's a mutually beneficial arrangement." He emphasized that her past and fertility were inconsequential to him. "The only thing you need to do is to be Mrs. Jian and not cause me any trouble, that's all. Whether you have given birth or whether you are able to give birth in the future, these are irrelevant questions to me," he told her. After some consideration, Sophia agreed to Marco's proposition, understanding the terms. With that, their unconventional agreement was sealed as he handed her marriage certificate. As they arrived at Marco's house, Sophia couldn't help but be awestruck by the grandeur of the mansion. "Wow! What a huge mansion," she thought to herself, taking in the impressive sight. The butlers greeted Marco respectfully upon their arrival, referring to him as young master. Marco wasted no time informing them of Sophia's presence and instructed them to arrange for custom-made clothes for her the next day. They welcomed Sophia as the young mistress, a title that felt foreign yet oddly fitting. During lunch, Sophia inquired about Marco's child. "Where's the child?" she asked, curious. The butler explained that the young master had already eaten at school and would return home later in the afternoon. Sophia expressed her willingness to fetch him from school, a request Marco granted without hesitation. The butler insisted she rest first, promising to prepare the car when it was time to pick up the child. "Thank you very much," Sophia replied with a smile, grateful for the butler's kindness. As she settled in, Sophia couldn't shake the empathy she felt for Marco's son. Having experienced the struggles of vying for a parent's affection with another woman, she was determined to be a stepmother who wouldn't be resented. She hoped to build a bond with Marco Jian's son that would be filled with love and understanding rather than resentment. Romeo Jian's heart raced with excitement as he spotted Sophia waiting to pick him up from school. "Wow, beautiful lady, you came here specifically to fetch me, right?" he exclaimed, a spark of admiration in his eyes. "Did you miss me that much after just a few days? And do you want to be my girlfriend?" he blurted out eagerly, his steps quickening toward her. Sophia's expression softened as she watched him approach. "Yes, I came here specifically to pick you up," she began, her voice gentle but hesitant. "But there's something important I need to talk to you about." She took a deep breath, bracing herself for the conversation ahead. "If I were to marry your daddy and become your mommy, would you still like me?" Romeo's excitement faltered, his steps slowing as her words sank in. "I don't want that," he protested suddenly, his voice laced with confusion and frustration. Sophia knelt down, her gaze steady as she met his eyes. "But Romeo, I'm already married to your daddy," she confessed softly, her heart heavy with the weight of the truth. "Liar!" Romeo's accusation pierced the air, his emotions raw and unfiltered as he interrupted her. "You're a liar too, you're just like all the others, trying to seduce daddy all the time. You're all liars." His words were sharp with betrayal as he turned and fled, his small figure disappearing into the distance. "I hate you. I never want to see you again," his anguished cry echoed back to her, leaving Sophia rooted to the spot, her heart breaking for the pain she had inadvertently caused. As Romeo dashed across the road, his vision clouded with tears, he failed to notice the oncoming truck until it was too late. "Romeo!" Her voice pierced the air, filled with urgency and fear as she watched Romeo freeze in the face of danger. With instinctive speed she dashed across the road, disregarding the blaring horns and screeching brakes of the oncoming truck, leaving him dazed. Ignoring the driver's insults, she swept up Romeo in her arms and carried him to safety, her heart pounding with relief as she checked him for injuries. "Roro, are you okay?" Sophia's concern was palpable as she searched his face for any signs of harm. Despite the terror still lingering in his eyes, Romeo couldn't help but wonder why she had risked her own safety to protect him, defying the stereotypes of cruel stepmothers. "I'm fine," he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper, his gaze downcast with shame at his own vulnerability. "That's a relief," Sophia sighed, a hint of amusement in her voice as she suggested treating him to a meal from a famous restaurant. But Romeo, torn between hunger and lingering distrust, agreed while drooling. "Don't think you can win me over that easily and get into my good books like this," he retorted, his stomach growling in protest. Yet beneath his tough exterior, he couldn't suppress a flicker of excitement at the prospect of indulging in forbidden delights. Sophia chuckled at his bravado, her affection for him evident in her gentle gaze. "Fine, I'll indulge you this once," she relented, feeling a surge of pride at his resilience. At the restaurant, Romeo scanned the menu, excitement evident in his eyes. "I want everything," he declared. "It's all because of that dad of mine. He'll never let me eat this stuff because he says that I have a weak constitution. I'm going to eat my fill today," he thought, his eyes widening with desire as he pointed out everything he longed to taste. Despite his father's strict rules, he was determined to savor every moment of this unexpected treat. But their brief respite was interrupted by the ringing of Sophia's phone, pulling her back to the harsh reality of their circumstances. It was Marco Jian, worried about their whereabouts. "Hello, Mr. Jian," she answered the phone. "Mrs. Jian, are you fetching him from the moon?" Marco's voice was tinged with concern as he questioned her over the phone. Sophia reassured him, "We're just enjoying a meal out, Marco. We'll be back late." Her heart lightened knowing that, despite the challenges they faced, she and Romeo were building a bond stronger than any stereotype could break. Marco's response was flirtatious, whispered in a tone meant only for her ears. "I want to eat you up," he murmured, eliciting a blush from Sophia. "I'm hanging up," she replied, her laughter bubbling beneath the surface as she ended the call, leaving Marco longing for more. As they enjoyed their meal, Romeo indulged in every dish with gusto, his hunger seemingly insatiable. But even as they made their way home, his appetite remained unsated, his eyes still drawn to the tantalizing displays of food in nearby restaurants. "I want to eat that too," Romeo declared eagerly as they passed another restaurant along the road, his desires reignited. Sophia, mindful of their limits, gently refused. "We've had enough today. Let's come back another time," she suggested, hoping to temper his disappointment. But Romeo, fueled by hunger and frustration, accused her of cruelty. "Stepmother, you're bullying me," he cried out, his words tinged with resentment. "I won't let you eat any more no matter what you say. You'll get an upset tummy," she said as she tried pacifying him. "Stepmothers are all baddies. She's not giving me any food, I'm so hungry," he said as he tried to create a scene. Concerned murmurs filled the air as some onlookers began to speculate about Sophia's treatment of Romeo. One elderly woman couldn't hold back her disapproval, chastising Sophia for the perceived lack of discipline. Sophia, taken aback as she recognized the voice, could only manage a weak protest. "Grandma," she started, her voice faltering under the weight of judgment. Caught between her concern for Romeo and the judgment of strangers, Sophia struggled to navigate the delicate balance of motherhood in the public eye. Sophia Tang stood her ground as her grandmother confronted her. "Where did you come from, you little slut? How dare you call me grandma? Are you trying to get into my family?" the woman demanded. As the crowd murmured, "Wow, is this some sort of Kardashian show? My father is your son. Wherever your son is from, that's where I'm from, Sophia replied firmly, her tone tinged with frustration. You must be out of your mind. How dare you talk to me with this kind of attitude, her grandma shot back, her voice rising. Why can't I talk to you like this? Sophia questioned, her patience wearing thin. I'm your grandma, her grandma exclaimed, her voice echoing with indignation. Passers-by began to take notice, their murmurs adding to the tension. Feeling the weight of the situation, Sophia apologized for her harsh words, acknowledging that she shouldn't have addressed the woman as her grandmother without confirmation. Humph. A child that was not raised by a mother is really shameless. That's why you can follow any man and become a stepmother. The apple really doesn't fall far from the tree, her grandma continued, her words cutting deep. Sophia's anger flared at the insult directed towards her mother. Sophia Tang refused to stay silent at her grandmother her accusations. You filthy, old woman, shut your trap, she ordered firmly, her frustration boiling over. Whose fault is it that I had no mother to bring me up? You ganged up with the mistress to force her into a divorce. My mother had just met with a mishap and you couldn't wait to take the mistress into the family, she confronted her grandmother, her voice trembling with emotion as tears poured down her face. Then you were so anxious to arrange for the wedding for the mistress, is this something a human can do? You're the shameless one, she said. Hearing her words, the gathered crowd murmured, wow, this old woman is something else. Another said, cold-blooded. Her grandmother's face twisted with anger at the accusations and said, you. Sophia's grandmother stuttered, raising her stick in an attempt to strike Sophia. Sophia raised her hand to shield her face, but before contact could be made and before Sophia could respond, little Romeo, sensing the tension, rushed in between them. Old hag, touch her if you dare, he warned Sophia's grandmother, his voice filled with protective determination. Rascal, you're nothing good either, the grandmother said as she raised her stick in an attempt to strike Romeo. But before she could make contact, Sophia dashed in front of Romeo, taking the blow meant for him as the grandmother smacked her more. Romeo looked at Sophia with fear in his eyes, his concern evident. Let's see if you dare to be so uncultured next time, the grandmother said as she breathed heavily. Undeterred by the pain, Sophia turned back to her grandmother, her eyes flashing with anger. You'd better remember everything that you did to me today. Very soon I'll take back everything that the Tang family owes me and my mother. Every single cent, she declared, her voice unwavering despite the ache in her heart. You, the grandmother stammered as they ignored her. You're just a little kid. Why act tough? That stick is so thick. What if it really hit you, Sophia Tang said, concern evident in her voice, relieved to have shielded little Romeo from harm, focused on him. Humph. I'm the only one who can bully you, stepmother, Romeo asserted, his tone defiant. Who does that old woman think she is, he questioned. Holding Romeo's hand, she suggested they go home, but he resisted. No. Romeo exclaimed, pulling his hand away. Spotting spices showcased in a store, he darted over and grabbed the pepper spice. How dare you come out to scare people when you're so ugly, old hag? Let's see if you dare come out again. Romeo shouted, tossing the pepper spice at Sophia Tang's grandma. With pepper all over her face, Sophia's grandma screamed in pain. You bastard, she cursed as she coughed as a result from the pepper. Seizing the moment, Sophia hurried Romeo into their vehicle, a bit scared but resolute. She ordered the driver to take them home, while Romeo grinned mischievously at his antics. Arriving home, both Sophia and Romeo, aware of Marco Jien's potential reaction, moved quietly, trying not to draw attention in the dimly lit room. But their efforts were in vain as the lights suddenly flicked on, revealing Marco Jien seated across from them, arms crossed. Mrs. Jian, little Master Jian, you guys finally found it within you to come home, he remarked dryly, his disappointment evident. His question left her and Romeo speechless. What is it? Has Mrs. Jian lost her voice suddenly? Marco Jian inquired, noticing Mrs. Jian's silence. Romeo, why are you silent? Have you forgotten how to speak? Marco directed his attention to his son also. Daddy, I'm sorry, Romeo pleaded, anticipating his father's reprimand. Marco Jian seemed displeased with Romeo's tardiness in responding to his question. Seems like little Master Jian's memory is slipping. Shall I remind you? Marco asked his son, his tone stern as he addressed Romeo. Marco Jian seemed displeased. Noticing Marco's approach, Sophia Tang instinctively pulled Romeo closer to her, pleading, "Please stay away from us." Sarah Tang said as she stepped back and stumbled, almost falling, but Marco caught her by the waist. Leaning in, Marco questioned Sophia about her fears. Still trying to hide, he teased her. He's just a child. Knowing he's wrong and willing to change is enough. You must not be harsh on him. Beat me if you need to beat someone, Sophia said, clutching onto Romeo. Marco was left speechless and angry at Sophia's defense of Romeo. Do you really think I would harm a woman, Mrs. Jian? Marco asked Sophia, his tone softening. And not at all, Sophia replied, smiling nervously while trembling, effectively diffusing Marco's anger towards Romeo. Would I dare to say yes, she thought, considering Marco's question. Marco held Sophia's arm, gently questioning her fears. Then, Mrs. Jian, what is it that you're afraid of? Sophia blushed at his words, feeling a mixture of embarrassment and attraction. Sophia stuttered, I'm not sure. Is that so? Then we'll never know unless we try it, Marco said, pulling Sophia closer. Sophia blushed at his words. The couple was about to kiss when Romeo cried out in pain, clutching his stomach. Roro! Sophia shouted as they rushed to his aid, calling for a guard to fetch Michael Zhong. Marco, carrying Romeo, instructed the guard to hurry. What's wrong with Romeo? Sophia asked, her concern evident. What did he eat last night? Marco demanded, his tone firm. Sophia confessed to them the lists of what they ate. Marco tried to conceal his anger. Roro is like this because of me. I'm sorry, Sophia said sorrowfully. Li informed Marco Jian of Michael Zhong's arrival. Michael Zhong then demanded for him to be put on the bed, which Marco did. It hurts. I want Grandma, Romeo whimpered, tears welling in his eyes as he clutched his stomach. Michael Zhong reassured them that Romeo's condition had stabilized but warned against future dietary indiscretions. His immune system cannot handle such stress, Michael Zhong cautioned. I'll be leaving now, Michael said to Marco Jian. Sophia was upset with herself. Let's go too, Marco told her, heading out of Romeo's room. Wait, your son is sick and needs someone with him. Are you sure about leaving? Sophia questioned Marco. Marco assured her that the butler and servants would attend to Romeo. Let's go back and rest early, Marco suggested to Sophia. How can we rest when the child is suffering? Sophia resisted, unwilling to leave Romeo alone, which left Marco speechless. Madam, Master has been working all day, Li interjected. You don't have to stay, but I'm staying here tonight. I caused this, I need to take responsibility, Sophia declared firmly as she interrupted the butler's words. Up to you, Marco Jian said as he left the room, leaving Sophia and Li alone. Sophia, concerned, asked Li about little Romeo's condition. Li explained that little Romeo had been fragile since birth due to his mother's medication during pregnancy. Despite their efforts to care for him, he still faced health challenges. Sophia expressed her dismay at the cruelty of fate towards such a young child. Li tried to comfort her, mentioning that little Romeo would likely find solace with her here to dote on him in future. Later that night, little Romeo developed a fever, reaching 39 degrees Celsius. Fortunately, Michael arrived in time to administer medication, bringing down his temperature temporarily. Sophia felt relieved as the fever subsided. However, in the early hours, little Romeo was disturbed by a nightmare, screaming and pleading not to be approached. Sophia called out to him, addressing him by his nickname Roro, as he struggled with the nightmare of being chased by ghosts. About to be struck by a ghost in his nightmare, little Romeo cried out for his mother's help. Sophia watched him with concern, leaning forward to reassure him not to be scared. Delighted by her presence, little Romeo called her a pretty lady as she comforted him, reminding him that mommy was there for him. Late into the night, the door opened as Marco and Lee entered little Romeo's room to find Sophia sleeping beside him. They admired the scene, seeing the two of them cuddled together peacefully. Marco couldn't resist joining them, cuddling his family as they slept peacefully. Upon waking up, Sophia noticed little Romeo wasn't beside her as she screamed, "Where's Roro?" "I accidentally fell asleep. Where's Roro?" she demanded, a hint of panic in her voice. She found him and his father in the dining room, waiting for her. Little Romeo greeted her with a smile, calling her a pretty lady, as she held his face. Concerned about his health, Sophia advised little Romeo to be careful with his diet in the future. Little Romeo cheekily pointed out that he had only accompanied her because she wanted him to, eliciting a smile from Sophia. Daddy, I have something very important to talk to you about," he said. What is it?" Marco demanded, his tone expectant. Later, little Romeo surprised everyone by solemnly telling Marco that he and Sophia were truly in love and he wanted her for himself. Sophia was taken aback by his unexpected declaration. "How can you be sure she loves you?" Marco Jian asked his son, little Romeo. "Because she picked me up from school and brought me delicious food I'd never tried before," Romeo explained. "She even slept next to me when I was sick last night. You saw it yourself. She touched my forehead with hers." "These are all the proofs," he said. Marco raised an eyebrow. "That's it?" he demanded. "What about you? What did you do with the pretty lady?" Romeo asked, a mischievous twinkle in his eye. Marco puffed out his chest. "We slept together," he declared, eager to prove Sophia's affection. Marco chuckled, a hint of awkwardness in his voice. Sophia, who hadn't spoken yet, blushed slightly at Marco's choice of words, thinking to herself, "Hey, are you sure it's okay to tell a kid something like that?" Undeterred, Romeo crossed his arms. "So what? We slept together as well, cuddling each other all night." Marco sighed, a playful smile on his face. "Come here, Sophia," he beckoned to his wife. Sophia hesitated, sensing a potential competition brewing. "It's probably nothing good," she thought cautiously as she pretended not to see. Marco gave her a devilish look, causing her to relent as she ran over to him with a sobbing face. Marco's smile widened, taking her arm gently. Before Sophia could react, he scooped her up and placed her on his lap. "See, Romeo?" Marco said, a teasing glint in his eye. "Can you carry Sophia like this?" Sophia, perched on her husband's lap, couldn't help but smile at the childish display. "This is getting a little out of hand. He is actually competing with a kid," she thought. Undeterred, Romeo declared, "I can do that too, when I grow up." Marco's smile faltered slightly as he exclaimed, his curiosity piqued. Suddenly competitive, Marco turned to Sophia. Leaning in, he planted a playful kiss on her lips, a mischievous glint in his eyes as Sophia playfully begged him not to. Romeo cried out as he whined, You. I'm going to tell Grandma that you're bullying the weak." Marco chuckled and said, "Only useless kids like to tell on others in front of the adults," leaving Romeo stunned. I was just trying to scare you. No matter what, I'll make sure pretty lady becomes my wife. Just you wait," he declared, his tone determined, before darting away from the scene. "I'll be waiting for it then," Marco replied knowingly, watching Romeo dart away. Sophia looked at Romeo concernedly. Sophia, who had been watching the exchange, spoke up. "Is it okay for him to be like this?" she asked Marco. "Yes." "Okay, let's go," he said, sweeping her up into his arms. I can walk by myself," she protested as he carried her. "Where are we going?" she wondered as he gently placed her on the bed. "Make your preparations, we're going to the office," he informed her. "Why must I go to your office with you?" she demanded. Suddenly taking off his shirt, causing her to scream in surprise. Why did you take off your clothes?" she exclaimed, shielding her eyes with her hand. He looked at her tenderly as he approached, gently holding her cheek. Mrs. Jen, I'm looking forward to reliving that night," he murmured softly to her. Don't come near me," she said, her voice trembling with uncertainty. Sophia felt Marco Jen lean in closer. "Didn't you say we're going to the office?" she managed to murmur before his lips captured hers in a kiss. Marco pulled back slightly, whispering, "Little beauty, it's been so long since I touched a woman. I'm already at my limits." Sophia hit him to stop, but he said, "Be good," and, before Sophia lost consciousness and collapsed onto the bed. Marco, alarmed, called for Michael Jean, who was still in the house after treating a patient earlier. Grabbing him by the collar, Marco said, "Give her a checkup now." "Your woman," Michael demanded as Marco told him to cut the crap. Michael quickly assessed her condition, explaining to Marco that she had likely fainted from shock due to her weakened state. Marco was puzzled by Michael's diagnosis, too weak, but Michael explained that Sophia's past trauma had left her with a delicate constitution, prone to fainting spells triggered by stress or shock. Michael advised Marco to let her rest and recover slowly without overstimulation. "You can scram now," Marco told him as he protested, calling him a heartless man and tossing him away after using him. Ignoring Michael's protests about being dismissed abruptly, Marco ordered the nanny to prepare nourishing food for Sophia and left for the office. Later in the day, Sophia regained consciousness, slowly coming to after her fainting spell. "I fainted again," she thought. Nanny Zhang, for her well-being, offered to call the doctor, but Sophia assured her it was just an old ailment and insisted on picking up little Romeo from school. As she made her way to the school, Sophia couldn't shake off the surreal feeling of her life's recent upheaval. Just yesterday she was enduring humiliation as the target of Wayne Luo's revenge, but now everything seems to have changed for the better. The sudden shift to happiness felt almost too good to be true. "I hope it won't be the same as 5 years ago," she thought, a hint of apprehension lingering beneath her newfound joy. Her thoughts were interrupted by a familiar voice calling her name. It was Chloe, her long-lost best friend. "Chloe? Long time no see," she said. "That's right, it's been so long. Are you okay?" Chloe asked, concern evident in her voice. Sophia's mind was consumed with questions about her past. She pressed Chloe for answers about her sudden disappearance 5 years ago. "Chloe, please tell me. What exactly happened 5 years ago? I was about to have a wedding. How did I disappear? When I woke up in the hospital, why did everyone say I was gone for a year and that I had a child with another man? And why did you marry someone from the Tang family? And why have you been avoiding me?" Chloe apologized, visibly uncomfortable, but before she could respond, her young daughter intervened, accusing Sophia of bullying her mother. Sophia was stunned by the accusation and the revelation of Chloe's child. As Chloe hurriedly dismissed her daughter's words, "Annie, say sorry to Auntie. She's my best friend. Why would she bully me?" Annie replied, "If she is your best friend, then why didn't she protect you when great-grandma, grandma, and Auntie were bullying you?" Sophia was shocked by the revelation, calling out Chloe's name in disbelief. "Don't listen to the words of a child. We'll be leaving now. Annie, say goodbye to Auntie," Chloe said as Annie bid Sophia goodbye. Sophia was left standing there, bewildered by her friend's actions and the unexpected turn of events. Little Romeo eagerly called out to Sophia, expressing his excitement to see her. "Come, let's go home," Sophia suggested. But little Romeo had a different craving in mind. "No, I want to get a burger," he insisted, despite Sophia's concern for his recent recovery. "No, I want it," he demanded. Attempting to divert his attention, Sophia suggested cooking together at home instead. Little Romeo's eyes lit up at the idea. "Really?" he exclaimed, already imagining the delicious meal. Sophia assured him, with the condition that he behaved well. Meanwhile, Nanny Zhang offered to prepare whatever little Romeo desired, but he insisted on Sophia's cooking. "It's okay, Nanny Zhang. Even though I don't look like it, I can still cook well, she said. As Sophia began preparing the meal, Nanny Zhang found the situation peculiar. Marco Jian, entering the kitchen, complimented his wife's cooking skills. However, little Romeo, possessive of Sophia's attention, shooed his father away. Marco then gently reminded little Romeo about his homework. I don't want to do homework, Romeo said as Marco replied to him, then you will be a kid forever and you won't be able to get a wife, leading him to realize the importance of responsibility as he left to do his homework. Alone in the kitchen, Marco approached Sophia romantically, complimenting the aroma of her cooking as he asked what she was cooking. Sophia replied to him, porridge. Marco playfully teased her, I didn't expect Mrs. Jian to be so capable. Maintaining her boundaries, she gently rebuffed his advances. Marco playfully teased her about her lack of romance as he left. Sophia gently reminded herself of his prominent status compared to her temporary role as his wife. As they gathered for dinner, Sophia affectionately called little Romeo to eat. Marco, feeling a hint of envy at their closeness, interrupted their hand-holding by embracing Sophia, which little Romeo found unsettling as he told him he was hugging his wife. Sophia found Marco's behavior somewhat childish, wondering if he truly lived up to his esteemed reputation. Little Romeo, determined to grow up quickly, eagerly finished his meal as Sophia advised him to eat slowly. Later that night, Sophia sang a lullaby to little Romeo until he fell asleep as she smiled before leaving the room. Unexpectedly, Marco, who appeared to have been waiting by the door, complimented Sophia's role as a stepmother, catching her off guard. Marco's subsequent advances towards her made Sophia uncomfortable as she reminded him of their pretend relationship. However, Marco persisted, alarming Sophia as he said, I need a wife now. A real wife, as Sophia protested. Hush! Don't make so much noise, Mrs. Jian. Do you like to play hard to get so much, he demanded. What should I do? I'm scared, she thought. I will be very happy tonight, he told her, but Sophia unintentionally called out for help, mentioning Wayne's name, which angered Marco. The situation became tense as Sophia tried to explain herself, but Marco's anger only escalated as he left. As Marco stormed out of the room, leaving Sophia behind, he barked an order, prepare a room for her tomorrow night. Li, with a solemn expression, acknowledged Marco's instructions. Yes, young master, he replied. Feeling regretful, Sophia offered a brief apology. Marco's frustration stemmed from his unexpected emotional reaction to Sophia, a fact that troubled her deeply. If for some reason my body only reacts to that woman, he said angrily, punching a wall. In moments of past fear, she habitually called out Wayne's name, but now as it escaped her lips, she realized those memories were indeed behind her. Accepting her role as Marco's wife, Sophia resolved to adapt and fully embrace her new life, she thought tearfully. Lost in contemplation, Sophia drifted off to sleep. The following morning, Li greeted her warmly and presented a steaming bowl of nourishing soup, per Marco's request. As Sophia sipped the soup, Li gently remarked on Marco's evident concern for her well-being, a sentiment shared by the household. Feeling determined to move forward and leave the past behind, Sophia made a decision. It's time for a fresh start, she mused, adopting a new resolve. Nanny Zhang, I'm going out for a bit, she said after finishing the nourishing soup. Before stepping out, she reached out to an old friend, Shania, seeking connection and support in her journey forward. Shania, are you available now? She inquired earnestly. Come with Yo-Yo and help me move, Sophia requested over the phone, her tone determined. Sophia, you damn woman. Have you finally decided to leave that hell? Shania's response was filled with both surprise and joy. I will be right there, she promised eagerly. Sophia met up with her friends Shania and Yo-Yo, who were visibly excited to see her after a long time. Sophia, you woman, you're finally leaving Wayne. Do you know how happy we are? Shania expressed their collective sentiment. That's why I need you girls to support me here, Sophia replied earnestly, seeking reassurance. There's no need to be afraid. I'll take down anyone who stands in your way, Shania declared with a serious demeanor, ready to defend her friend. If Chloe is still around, we'll be reunited, Yo-Yo remarked with a smile, but Shania quickly shut down any mention of Chloe. Do not mention that vain woman's name, she scolded Yo-Yo firmly. Okay, let's go, Sophia directed her friends, ready to face the next chapter of her life. However, upon reaching the house and packing up her things to leave, Sophia's sister, Sarah, confronted her with disapproval. Sister, are you stealing? She asked, accompanied by Wayne's mother. Sophia, why are you here with your good-for-nothing friends so early in the morning? Wayne's mother added. Shania, not one to tolerate insults, was quick to react. How dare you insult us? I'll show you the power of her so-called good-for-nothing friends, she retorted, preparing for confrontation. Shania, let me handle this, Sophia intervened, holding Shania back. Addressing Wayne's mother, she made her stance clear. Auntie, I want to make things clear today. I, Sophia, will have nothing to do with the Luo family from now onwards. Please ask Wayne not to disturb me anymore, she stated firmly, asserting her decision. How dare you talk to me like this? You jinx! Wayne's mother retorted angrily. You made the Luo family a laughingstock at the wedding a few years back. You've been living off my son for the past 5 years, and now you're trying to leave just like this? Pay my son $1 million first, she demanded. Sophia, maintaining her composure, responded with a fake smile. Aha, $1 million. Do you know how much your son owes me? She countered calmly. My son owes you money? Do you have water in your head? Wayne's mother asked incredulously, her expression twisted in disgust. Madame Luo, despite the vulgarity coming from your mouth, how graceful can you be? Sophia argued, her patience wearing thin. Do you even know the inhuman things your dear son did? She added, her voice tinged with anger. For 5 years, in order to compensate for the mistake that I knew nothing about, I swallowed my pride and followed Wayne everywhere, enduring his neglect, abuse, exploitation, and betrayal, Sophia continued, her tone turning fiercer. He even pushed me into another man's bed himself. Now I'm cutting all ties with your son. I owe the Luo family nothing because I've already repaid my debt 1,000-fold, she declared firmly, her eyes blazing with indignation. Wayne's mother, rendered speechless, pointed accusingly at Sophia, but Sophia, ignoring her, made her way to the door with her bag. Shania, Yo-Yo, let's go, she instructed her friends. Outside, Shania expressed her pride in Sophia. Sophia, that was amazing. I love you so much, she declared warmly as they all laughed happily. I can finally say goodbye to my past and start a new life, Sophia affirmed to her friends. Let's go have some fun, girls. Meanwhile, Sarah, Sophia's sister, harbored ominous thoughts. Don't be too pleased with yourself, Sophia. You won't be able to laugh soon, she mused, hinting at a potential sinister plan. Sophia took the girls shopping at the mall. Sophia headed to the children's section, prompting Shania to question her choice. Oh wait, why are you going to the children's section? She asked. Sophia explained that she was buying clothes for her son. You found your son from 5 years ago? Shania asked in disbelief. No, I'm married. It's the child from my husband's side, Sophia clarified. Shania expressed surprise at Sophia being a stepmother at her age. Sophia calmly explained, why can't I marry a man with a child? You know it too. I might not be able to give birth to another child again. The girls tried to dissuade Sophia from accepting this as her fate, but Sophia reassured them, don't be sad for me. My husband's family is very nice to me. Shania jokingly threatened to give Sophia's husband a beating for being lucky enough to marry her. Sophia laughed and Shania asked for details about little Romeo's age and height as they picked out clothes together. Shania reminded Sophia to also consider her husband's needs while shopping. Marco's clothes are all custom-made. I bet he won't like anything from the mall, she thought as Shania showed her a cloth. Just then Wayne and Sarah entered the mall, with Sarah presenting Wayne with specially ordered clothes. Spotting Sophia, Sarah greeted her, feigning friendliness. Meeting you in the mall, what a coincidence, as she said. Shania responded casually, Sarah Tang, you're a busy woman. Shania expressed her disapproval, noting how Sarah spent the morning showcasing her powers with Wayne's mother and now was shopping for her son in the afternoon as Sophia ignored them. Sarah, still pretending, commented on Wayne's love for the clothes in the shop, while Sarah complimented Sophia on her choice of clothes. Sarah continued her charade, suggesting clothes to Wayne with a wink, but Sophia remained unfazed, focusing on browsing through the racks. Wayne, observing Sophia, couldn't help but think about how beautiful she looked, even in such ordinary moments, as his thought was interrupted by Sarah, who called his name. Shania teased Wayne about Sophia's apparent wealthy marriage, to which Wayne reacted with shock, grabbing Sophia's arm. Sophia quickly clarified that she was indeed married but requested Wayne to release her, as her husband didn't appreciate such gestures from other men, as she seemed uneasy with Wayne's behavior. Wayne demanded to know who Sophia's husband was and expressed disbelief at her sudden marriage. Sophia calmly explained that Wayne had met him the other day at the hotel. Wayne couldn't take it. He said although she had only known him for a few days, how could they be married? Sophia replied to him, it's true that we've just met for a few days, but he's someone that I can marry indeed. Unlike some people, even though I've known him for my whole life, he's still just like a stranger. Wayne's anger grew, insisting that Sophia should divorce her husband because she belonged to him. Sophia, taken aback, questioned Wayne's authority to make such demands. Excuse me, who are you? What rights do you have to ask me to get a divorce? She challenged him firmly. Wayne continued to hold Sophia's arm tightly against her will, asserting that she owed him as his fiancée and she can't leave until he tortured her enough. Sophia, feeling increasingly trapped, questioned Wayne's actions and sanity as his grip intensified. In distress, she called out to Shania and Yo-Yo to call the police for help. Shania intervened, confronting Wayne for his behavior, while Sarah questioned Shania's actions. Yo-Yo dialed the police as the situation escalated into a fight within the mall. An hour later, they found themselves at the police station. After the police officer settled the matter, Sophia apologized to her friends for the chaos. Shania, however, seemed proud of her confrontation with Wayne, boasting about leaving scratch marks on his face. Later, Wayne's mother called Sophia, expressing her disappointment and threatening her. Sophia pleaded with Madame Luo to intervene and stop Wayne's harassment, but Madame Luo only responded with more threats and aggression, even going as far as threatening physical harm. Just as Madame Luo was about to strike Sophia, Marco Jian entered the scene. Try it, he said as Madame Luo looked confused. His presence immediately shifted the dynamics, causing Madame Luo's thoughts to run wild. I thought this jinx had Master Jian's backing. So she offended him instead, she thought as she was about to strike Sophia. Marco reprimanded Madame Luo for her behavior, reminding her of Sophia's status as a shareholder of the Jian group. Shocked by the revelation, she said, Master Jian, you asked me to beat her up just now. Marco's reply was a bomb, would you go die if I ask you to? Apologize to her. When Madame Luo hesitated to apologize, Marco announced consequences for the Luo family's actions, freezing their relationship with the Jian group. Faced with Marco's authority, Madame Luo apologized and begged for forgiveness, showing her fear and remorse, leaving Marco angry. Mother, what are you doing? Wayne barked upon seeing his mom on her knees begging Marco Jian. Marco, you are going too far, Wayne says as he rushes to punch Marco Jian, only to be stopped and pinned to the ground by one of Marco Jian's guards. Facing Sophia, Marco Jian orders her to come meet him. Is he going to punish me publicly because I embarrassed the Jian family? Sophia thought within herself. Coward, Marco Jian said in a sweet manner as he touched Sophia's forehead when she got close to him. Sir, we should go now, Li tells Marco Jian, who says, yes. Oh my God, Sophia, don't tell me that he's your husband. Shania cried out in joy. Sophia, did you save the galaxy in your past life? How could you get a man as good as that? This won't do, we must make your husband treat us to the best restaurant in the city, Yo-Yo exclaimed. They were both happy for their friend Sophia. Sophia agrees to Yo-Yo's request but insists it would be the next time they meet. I have to pick up the kid from school now, she tells the girls. Go on, it's not easy being a stepmother. It's even harder when you're in a wealthy family, Shania says as they bid Sophia goodbye. Later that day, Marco Jian watched as his son, little Romeo, entered the house, clutching a bag tightly. What's that in your hands? Marco inquired, his tone curious. These are the clothes that the pretty lady bought for me. You can't touch them, little Romeo declared protectively, his eyes flickering with a hint of defiance towards his father. Marco couldn't help but feel a twinge of envy as he observed the thoughtful gesture from Sophia towards his son. Mrs. Jian is a really good stepmother, he remarked, his hands folded as he glanced towards Sophia with a subtle expectation in his eyes. Sophia returned Marco's gaze, understanding the unspoken request hidden behind his expression. What's this? Romeo questioned, a touch of disappointment coloring his voice as he held a jacket in his hand. It's too big for me. I don't want it, little Romeo complained, tossing the jacket to the floor with a petulant gesture. Marco sighed inwardly, noting the disparity in little Romeo's reaction to Sophia's gift compared to his own. Marco Jian picked up the discarded jacket from the floor, his gaze flickering between his son and Sophia. Your taste, he was saying as Sophia interrupted him. Give it back if you don't like it, Sophia gently instructed Marco, her tone firm yet compassionate. How can you ask for a gift back? Wash it and put it in the bedroom, Marco responded matter-of-factly, handing the cloth to Lee, his assistant. The next day little Romeo emerged wearing the clothes Sophia had chosen for him. Pretty lady, do I look good in this? He asked, seeking Sophia's approval. Sophia smiled warmly at the boy. Yes, you look so handsome, she assured him, her affectionate words causing a swell of pride in little Romeo. Feeling a pang of jealousy creeping in, Marco couldn't help but interject. What about me? He questioned, a hint of petulance tingling his tone as he sought validation from Sophia. Sophia was momentarily taken aback, her mind racing to comprehend the absence of a similar gesture towards her husband. Marco's silent plea for attention did not escape her notice, leaving her at a loss for words as he thought. This damn woman. Will it kill her to give me a compliment? Seeking to divert attention from the awkward moment, Marco proposed, come to the office with me. I've arranged some work for you. Surprised by the sudden offer, Sophia hesitated before nodding her assent. That's right, young mistress, Lee chimed in. We've arranged for you to join the planning department based on your previous experience. At the office, Sophia was introduced to the Gen E Group Planning Department. Don't worry, Secretary Lee. I'll make the necessary arrangements, the operations manager assured Lee, taking charge of Sophia's integration into the team. As Lee prepared to depart, he left her with some words, you can call me directly on the phone if you need me. Sophia expressed her gratitude. Thank you so much, she said sincerely. The operations manager was surprised as he knew immediately that she was someone important as he wasted no time in assigning Sophia a leadership role. Our new colleague in the department, Sophia, she'll be the leader of Team 5 from today, he announced confidently. However, not everyone in the department was convinced of Sophia's suitability for the role. Sir, all the leaders are people who have worked for more than 3 years. For her to be a leader when she just joined, I don't think that's appropriate, one worker voiced their concern. Another co-worker speculated, or is she an experienced professional that we hired from somewhere? If that's really the case, they've won us over with her capabilities. Sophia, feeling overwhelmed by the unexpected responsibility thrust upon her on her first day, mustered the courage to address the operations manager. Sir, for a newcomer like me to start with such an important role, it's really not appropriate. Please reconsider, she pleaded earnestly. Okay, that's decided then, get back to work, the operations manager announced, dispersing the gathering. He then turned his attention to Sophia. Let me help you familiarize with the place, he offered, leading her to her office space. As they walked, gossip buzzed among the workers. Looks like she has a pretty strong background. Being the leader on her first day, she has quite an appetite, one worker whispered to another. Sophia, overhearing the gossip, reminded herself to remain composed. It's normal for them to feel that way, just bear with it, she thought to herself, brushing off the comments. Suddenly a lady approached Sophia. Hey, Leader Tang, what do you think about the planning for this period, she inquired. Sophia remained polite. What's the theme this time, she asked, seeking clarification. The lady Ruby Shui chuckled inwardly at Sophia's apparent ignorance. I'll tell you if you call me boss, she replied smugly. Sophia complied with the request, addressing Ruby Shui as boss. However, Ruby Shui's subsequent comment struck a nerve. Oh, she really did it. Is there something wrong with her brain because she's used to screaming in bed, Ruby Shui remarked, implying that Sophia had attained her position through inappropriate means. Sophia's anger flared at the baseless accusation. I tolerated you out of respect earlier, but don't go overboard. If you're unhappy about it, you can compete against me to see who's better, she retorted sharply. Or do you think that all women at this position only got here by currying up to a man? The tension escalated as Sophia continued defensively. How many men have you slept with to reach your position in the GNE group? She challenged Ruby Shui. Ruby's temper flared. Nonsense. I've fought for my position with my own capabilities. What rights do you have to doubt me? She defended herself vehemently. Unwilling to back down, Sophia confronted Ruby Shui directly. Then, what gives you the right to slander me when you know nothing about me? She demanded. The confrontation reached a boiling point as Ruby Shui threatened Sophia. How can you be so arrogant as a newcomer? I'll tear that mouth off your face today, she spat out angrily. Undaunted, Sophia stood her ground, issuing a daring challenge. If you're not afraid of being asked to leave by my backer above, go ahead, she dared Ruby Shui, revealing her confidence in her own support within the company. Ruby Shui fell silent, realizing she may have overstepped her bounds without knowing Sophia's connections within the company. Ruby Shui left angrily, thinking, Sophia Tang, let's see how long you can stay so arrogant. The operations manager interrupted, instructing everyone to stop their work for an impromptu meeting in the meeting room. Sophia Tang was caught off guard by the abrupt announcement, and upon entering the meeting room, she noticed Marco Jian's presence, adding to her unease. As Marco Jian declared the meeting to start, Ruby Shui singled out Sophia to present a proposal, leaving her feeling unprepared. Apologies, I'm not quite ready, Sophia calmly replied. Marco Jian, with a hint of sarcasm, remarked on the apparent lack of activity in the planning department, subtly addressing the operations manager. Under the pressure from the operations manager, Ruby confidently took the stage to deliver her proposal, impressing everyone in the room, including Sophia, despite Ruby's underlying jealousy. After Ruby completed her presentation, Marco Jian's response was less than enthusiastic, leaving Ruby and the others taken aback. His cold demeanor intimidated the workers who hesitated to voice their thoughts. As Marco Jian dismissed the meeting, demanding a better proposal for the following week, Sophia reflected on the tense atmosphere and silently resolved to contribute more effectively in the future. As Marco Jian left the meeting room, Ruby Shui couldn't hide her disappointment. Months of hard work seemed to have gone to waste with Marco Jian's lukewarm response. Seeing Sophia pass by her desk, Ruby couldn't resist making a snide remark. The one who can't seem to come up with any proposals is back, Ruby remarked, her tone laced with bitterness. Sophia, feeling irritated by Ruby's comment, didn't hold back. Do you have anything else to offer besides spitting at people? She retorted. Ruby, offended by Sophia's challenge, asserted her capabilities. I earned my position through my skills. How dare you question me? She shot back coldly. Undeterred, Sophia proposed a competition to settle the matter once and for all. Ruby, relishing the chance to prove herself, suggested a high-stakes bet: loser leaves the company for good. Sophia hesitated but ultimately accepted the challenge, much to Ruby's delight. "I enjoy your last week here, Sophia," Ruby taunted as she walked away, confident in her abilities. Meanwhile, Sophia's co-workers looked on with a mix of jealousy and disbelief, considering her decision to challenge Ruby Xue as reckless. After work, Marco Jian offered to take Sophia back home, but she declined, opting instead to pick up Roro from school. Marco Jian was surprised by her decision but complied. At the school, Roro was thrilled to see Sophia. "A pretty lady, I have a nickname for you," he said with excitement. "As Sophia Tang, I can absolutely call you sweetie if you'd like," Romeo replied while Sophia agreed to the nickname. When Marco arrived unexpectedly, little Romeo expressed surprise and disdain at his father's presence. Marco responded by reminding little Romeo of the need for discipline. "Sweetie, I want a burger," little Romeo demanded, to which Sophia suggested making it at home. Marco felt neglected by Sophia's decision to leave him alone. At the supermarket, Marco was surprised as it was his first time there. Little Romeo pointed out what he wanted, including items out of reach. Marco stepped in to help, earning Sophia's gratitude. Marco wondered why Sophia seemed quieter with him compared to when she was with little Romeo. He offered to fetch anything else they needed, causing Sophia to blush. Observing them, others envied their apparent happiness as a family. Little Romeo saw something and showed Sophia kitchen mittens to protect her hands, and she affectionately called him sweet. Little Romeo looked at his father, contemplating their dynamic. Marco handed Sophia his gold-plated debit card, telling her it had no limits, leaving her stunned. Little Romeo commented on Marco's reliance on money, infuriating him. Sophia, calling Marco honey as she touched his face, suggested hurrying home to cook, and Marco held her hand, feeling a sense of connection. Sophia discreetly wanted to free her hands as she needed to get some tomatoes. A faint blush adorned her cheeks as Marco Jian noticed her subtle gesture. Their hands found each other. "All right, let's follow Mrs. Jian's instructions and grab those tomatoes," Marco Jian suggested, guiding Sophia along. With the rest of the shopping completed, they headed home. Upon arrival, Sophia embarked on preparing the burgers, but Marco Jian seemed reluctant to release her hand. "I can't cook properly if you keep holding on," she gently protested. Nanny Zhang observed the tender moment with a knowing smile. "Perhaps I should take over," she offered cheerfully, but Romeo insisted that Sophia should prepare the meal or he will fast. Their son, little Romeo, chimed in, expressing his preference for Sophia's cooking. When Marco dismissed his request harshly, little Romeo retreated to his room in tears, declaring his dislike for his father. Sophia called after him, her heart aching at the sight of his distress. "He's just a child, Marco." "Was that really necessary?" she questioned. Marco remained unmoved, asserting that life could be harsh, especially for someone from the Jian family, so he should know about it earlier. "I didn't know you're such a heartless person," she declared, withdrawing her hand from his grasp. Marco, angry at her words, replied, "Mrs. Jian's kindness is impressive indeed. You care so much about someone who has no relation to you." Sophia's hurt was palpable as she acknowledged her outsider status. "I overstepped my bounds. I'll be more mindful in the future," she uttered before leaving the kitchen abruptly. Despite Lee's attempt to explain Marco's intentions, Sophia was too upset to listen. The atmosphere was tense, with Sophia feeling the weight of Marco's words, and Lee's attempts at reconciliation falling on deaf ears. "Roro," Sophia softly called out as she entered little Romeo's room. Rushing into her arms tearfully, he expressed his fear of being left alone. "I love you the most, why would I ever leave you?" she reassured him, stroking his back gently. Little Romeo confessed that he had been diligently working on his homework. Pleased with his efforts, Sophia suggested making burgers for him, to which he acquiesced. Guiding him to the kitchen, she handed him a burger, to which she cautioned him about the hotness of the food. Little Romeo eagerly tasted the burger, declaring it delicious and offering Sophia a bite, which she accepted with a smile. He asked her if she would accompany him till he fell asleep, to which Sophia readily acquiesced. Later that night, ensuring he drifted off peacefully, she stayed by his side until he was in slumber. Lee approached Sophia, requesting her help in sending over some food to Marco Jian to eat. Sophia, still resentful towards Marco, responded curtly. "Why must I do that? Can't you send it over?" Lee replied that he did, but the young master wouldn't eat as he really treats her well whether she believes it or not. Lee cautiously approached Sophia, his voice hushed as he began to reveal a long-kept secret. "Young mistress, I must share something with you, but it's imperative that the young master remains unaware," he confided. "Little master was born without the young master's knowledge," Lee disclosed, unfolding a tale that left Sophia stunned. "You see, the young master has never been close with women, and I believe you are aware of that." Sophia nodded, absorbing the unexpected revelation. Lee continued, recounting a story of little Romeo's origin. Apparently, his mother had harbored a deep admiration for Marco Jian. In her misguided pursuit of his affection, she resorted to spiking his drink and taking advantage of him, hoping it would lead to marriage. However, Marco Jian had no romantic feelings for her, and when he discovered her scheme, he compensated her with a substantial sum of money, urging her to leave. The plot thickened as Lee revealed that little Romeo's mother returned, pregnant and claiming Marco Jian as the father. "So little Romeo is born out of wedlock?" Sophia asked, struggling to comprehend the intricacies of the story. "Yes, unfortunately," Lee confirmed. Tragically, little Romeo's mother died during childbirth, leaving him as a living testament to a difficult chapter in Marco Jian's past. Despite the circumstances, Marco Jian had never considered abandoning his son. However, his upbringing was stern, and he found it challenging to express affection towards children. This realization shed light on his cold demeanor towards little Romeo, Sophia thought. As the weight of the revelation settled on Sophia, she found herself speechless, understanding the complexities that had shaped the relationship between the young master and little Romeo. Sophia Tang knocked gently on the door to Marco Jian's study. "Come in," he said, his voice muffled slightly. She entered quietly, holding a tray with a bowl of porridge. "I made you some porridge since you haven't eaten tonight," she said softly, her concern evident in her voice. "The butler mentioned that your gastrointestinal system isn't very well." Marco gestured for her to leave the tray on the desk. As she set down the tray, Sophia couldn't help but express her thoughts. "Today your attitude towards Romeo reminded me of my past," she admitted, her voice tinged with emotion. "That's why I was a little bit emotional." Marco glanced up from his work, acknowledging her words. She continued, her voice hesitant yet steady, as she shared a part of her past with Marco. "My grandmother was biased towards boys ever since I was a little girl," she revealed, her gaze fixed on a point in the distance as she recalled the memories. "After my mother gave birth to me, there was an implication that made her unable to conceive again. Since then, my grandmother never treated her well." Taking a breath, Sophia recounted another painful chapter. "One day my father brought a mistress and a boy back home," she said quietly, the weight of the memory evident in her words. "My grandmother immediately pressured my parents to get a divorce so that my father could marry the mistress," Sophia continued, her voice tinged with sorrow. "But my mother refused to agree to it." She recounted the difficult times when her grandmother and her father's mistress united against them. "They joined hands to bully us," she said, her tone heavy with the weight of the past. Tragedy struck when Sophia returned home from school one day. Sophia's voice trembled as she continued, recounting the heart-wrenching events. "I was informed by my grandmother that my mother had jumped into a river, claiming she took her own life," she revealed, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Not long after, my father had a grand wedding with his mistress," she continued, her voice strained with emotion. "From then on, my father, who already disliked me, started to ignore my existence, allowing my grandmother and stepmother to bully me to their heart's content." Marco walked over to Sophia as he gently wiped away her tears. "Members of the Jian family can bully others, but they cannot be bullied," he said firmly, his voice laced with determination. "If they try to bully you again in the future, you have to retaliate 1,000 times worse." Don't be afraid, I have your back. Sophia nodded, her confidence bolstered by Marco's words. Okay, she said, her voice steadier now as she embraced Marco Jian, grateful for his support. In a swift motion, Marco Jian gently scooped up Sophia. What are you trying to do? She said, surprised as he carried her back to her room. We're just going to sleep, nothing else, he assured her, his tone calm and comforting. Marco's eyes caught her proposal on the system. Marco maintained his composure as he thought calmly, who knew that this little girl is not just good at cooking, she's good at making proposals too. The next day at the office, the manager announced, his voice carrying authority. Everyone, let's go for the meeting. We have to settle the proposal today no matter what. As the team prepared to head to the meeting room, Sophia realized she couldn't find her USB drive. Manager, she spoke up, her tone tinged with concern, the USB drive that my proposal was on is gone. How could it disappear? Her manager turned to her, eyebrows furrowed in concern. Did you leave it at home? He asked, his voice suggesting a hint of hope that it might have been a simple oversight. Sophia explained to her manager that she had left the USB on her desk, but it disappeared the moment she returned from the washroom. Anxious, she searched for any trace of her missing USB stick. Manager, I don't think she left it at home. She might not have done it at all, Ruby Shui remarked, her tone lacking any remorse. At that moment, Sophia's suspicion turned towards Ruby Shui, suspecting that she might have stolen her USB stick. However, she refused to dwell on it. It doesn't matter if it's gone, she declared, her voice resolute. I've already committed the proposal to memory. Those who are up to no good can steal my USB, but they can't steal the creativity in my brain. With determination, Sophia asserted her resilience in the face of adversity. Now in the meeting room, Marco Jian called for the start of the presentations. I'll go first, Ruby Shui declared confidently, taking charge of the moment. She proceeded to share her proposal, titled The Deep Blue Sea, referring to the projected work displayed on the screen. Sophia was taken aback, her shock evident as she realized that Ruby Shui not only stole her proposal but also claimed it as her own. Marco remained silent but angry, his gaze fixed on Ruby Shui as she continued to elaborate on the stolen idea. Sir, manager, that's the gist of my proposal, Ruby concluded, offering a respectful bow as she wrapped up her presentation. I believe that we'll be able to achieve great results if we follow this plan. Internally, Ruby seethed with anger as she reflected on Sophia's stolen proposal. I didn't expect Sophia's proposal to be so good, she admitted to herself. It's a good thing Yvonne stole it for me, otherwise I'd definitely lose, and then I'd have to leave the Jian E group according to our bet. Panic gripped her as she realized the stakes. No, I need this lucrative job. I can't leave, never, she resolved inwardly, determined to maintain her position within the company. Ruby, is this your proposal? Marco Jian's voice cut through the tension in the room, his eyes blazing with fury as he confronted her. Ruby felt a pang of fear as she realized the CEO seemed to be onto her. No, that's not possible, she thought desperately, trying to maintain her composure. Calm down, don't mess things up myself. Attempting to conceal her nervousness, Ruby replied, yes, sir, her voice strained as she forced herself to appear composed. Good, very good. Do we have any other proposals? Marco Jian's question hung in the air, his gaze sweeping the room. He turned his attention towards Sophia, silently urging her to speak up. Sophia, I'll give you justice if you say it out, Marco thought to himself as he observed her from the corner of his eye. Before Sophia could respond, Ruby interjected, her voice laced with malice as she pointed a finger at Sophia. Sir, Team 5's leader, Sophia, has another one, she said, her eyes flashing with an evil glint. Sophia was startled for a moment, but she gathered herself and rose from her chair. With determination, she walked up to the podium and began her presentation. Based on the product's characteristics and target audience, I've set the theme this time to be a starry night, Sophia announced, her voice steady and confident as she delved into her proposal. Her speech about the Starry Night theme for their products captivated the crowd, leaving them in awe and amazement at her creativity and vision. "This is my proposal," Sophia declared as she concluded her presentation. "As my previous proposal was too similar to Ruby's, I gave it up. I hope that you guys will forgive me for not having a presentation for you to refer to." There was a stunned silence in the room as Sophia's words sank in, particularly for Ruby Xue and Yvonne, whose expression betrayed her shock and disbelief. She thought of this proposal on her feet? Ruby pondered in disbelief as she watched Sophia's impromptu presentation. "Then Ruby, which proposal do you think is better?" Marco Jian asked with a smirk, his gaze fixed on her. Caught off guard, Ruby's mind raced for a response. "I'll choose Sophia's proposal," she replied, forcing a fake smile. "Even though it lacked preparation, but if we improve it a little, it'll be the perfect proposal." "Looks like Ruby knows what's good for her," Marco remarked to the room, causing murmurs of amazement among the staff. Ruby found herself starstruck by Marco's unexpected praise. "I was right, the CEO already saw through everything, and he was just testing me," Ruby thought to herself, feeling embarrassed by her earlier behavior. "If I did not know what's good for me and chose my own proposal, then I'll definitely end up worse than resigning myself. Then these orders will be handled by Team 5's leader, Sophia," Marco Jian declared, his voice authoritative as he dismissed the meeting. "The other teams are to cooperate unconditionally. Show me a satisfactory result." With that, Sophia found herself entrusted with leading the project as the weight of responsibility settled upon her shoulders. Ruby approached Sophia, her expression a mix of resignation and sadness. "Sophia, you won," she admitted, her voice heavy with defeat. "I'll do what we agreed on and resign myself." Sophia regarded Ruby with a serious expression. "Your resignation is not important," she replied calmly. "I just want us to get along well as colleagues and not sabotage each other. That's the biggest objective of this bet." Tears welled up in Ruby's eyes as she stammered out an apology. "I'm sorry," she stuttered, her voice choked with emotion. "Sophia, sorry to trouble you, but please bring these documents to the CEO," the manager said. Sophia agreed, her expression composed as she took the documents from him. "All right," she acknowledged softly before making her way to Marco Jian's office. With a gentle rap on the door, she announced her presence. "Come in," his voice beckoned from within. As Sophia turned the knob and pushed the door open, she began. "Sir," but her sentence was cut short as Marco Jian swiftly pulled her into the office, surprising her momentarily. "Aren't you going to explain what happened in the meeting, Mrs. Jian?" Marco inquired, his hand gently holding Sophia's. Sophia paused for a moment, meeting his gaze directly. "There's nothing to explain, actually," she replied evenly, her tone carrying a hint of determination. "But will you trust me?" she added, her eyes searching his for sincerity. In that moment, Sophia reaffirmed to herself that trust was paramount in any relationship, even with Marco, despite his kindness and care. She remembered the pain of love without trust with Wayne, and she couldn't allow history to repeat itself. "Of course," Marco exclaimed innocently, a hint of amusement in his tone. "Even Ruby could tell that I'm standing on your side." He chuckled inwardly at the thought. "Thank you," Sophia responded, her gratitude genuine yet puzzling to Marco. Before he could contemplate further, Marco couldn't restrain his urges any longer and impulsively pulled her toward him, pressing his lips against hers. The couple kissed passionately, Sophia's back pressed against the door. Suddenly Lee barged into the office without knocking, catching them off guard. In the process, he accidentally hit Sophia with the door, causing her to bite Marco Jian's lip inadvertently, injuring him in the process. "Your lips," Sophia exclaimed upon seeing Marco bled, her concern evident in her voice. Lee, startled by his own actions, immediately regretted his intrusion. "Oh no, why are they making out behind the door?" he thought anxiously, realizing he had disrupted the moment. Fear crept in as he imagined the repercussions of his actions. He's bleeding on the lips, I'm going to get fired, Lee fretted internally, overwhelmed with worry about facing consequences from his boss. Marco, noticing Lee's distress, tried to diffuse the tension. You came in to let me see you fall into a daze, he asked casually, trying to lighten the mood despite the awkward situation. Sir, Lee stammered, his voice still tensed from his earlier mistake. The name list for the company's yearly gala dinner has been set, however, your partner was miss you from the planning department. Should we pick a new partner now or? Sophia couldn't help but wonder if Marco would choose her instead. No, Marco Jian responded firmly, his decision clear. Just go according to the plan, he instructed Lee, dismissing any further discussion on the matter. Lee, hesitating to say something else, was cut off by Marco Jian's decisive words. Do you have anything to say? Marco asked Lee, his tone measured. I understand, sir, Lee responded respectfully. I'll be leaving now. With a nod, he took his leave, sensing the conversation was over. That's right, I'm just a small employee, what was I thinking of? Sophia murmured to herself, feeling a twinge of jealousy. Marco, noticing her sad expression, addressed her directly. Are you disappointed, Miss Jian? He inquired gently. Sophia hesitated for a moment before stammering no. In that case, Mrs. Jian, you should get back to work, Marco stated calmly, redirecting her focus. Yes, Sophia replied quietly as she left Marco's office. As she made her way back to her own office, Sophia found herself wondering about the kind of beauty Miss Yu possessed. Upon reaching her office, Sophia was taken aback when she saw Miss Yu engaged in discussion with her colleagues. No wonder you're Miss Yu, Ruby Shui remarked delightfully. You're always the one standing beside the CEO every year. That's right, your skin's so good, Yvonne chimed in. It's just a matter of time before you're the wife of the CEO. Sophia remained silent as she walked past them, not uttering a word. Miss Yu, upon seeing Sophia Tang, approached her. You must be Sophia, she said, acknowledging her presence. Yes, Miss Yu, Sophia replied politely. Why didn't he make you his partner? Miss Yu questioned, her tone tinged with curiosity and a hint of jealousy. The people from the lower level don't know about your identity, but I do. You must have used some unscrupulous tricks to make Marco marry you, Miss Yu exclaimed, her words betraying her envy toward Sophia's apparent luck. Since you know everything, why are you questioning me? Sophia asked, her tone cold and direct. If I had the guts to ask him myself, would I need to come ask you? Miss Yu retorted angrily, her frustration evident in her tone. Sophia pretended not to hear her, choosing to focus on her work instead. Miss Yu couldn't shake off her confusion. Why didn't Marco choose Sophia as his partner, she mused to herself. If it's because she has a low position, then he wouldn't have married her either. She realized she didn't fully understand Marco Jian's choices. Sophia looked at Miss Yu, her expression somber, before finally speaking. It's because I'm not as beautiful as you, not as presentable as you, not as knowledgeable as you, she admitted softly. It'll only embarrass him if he brings me along. Are you satisfied? Sophia's words were tinged with sadness as she addressed Miss Yu, her insecurity laid bare. Humph. At least you know yourself, Miss Yu said with a hint of pride in her voice. Just then someone approached with a message. Miss Yu, your dress for the gala dinner is ready. Do you have time to try it on? The person asked. Of course, Miss Yu responded confidently. I'm the only one in the whole company who has the right to wear the customized dress made by the CEO's designer from France, she added, her tone brimming with pride as she closed her eyes momentarily. Where's Sophia? Miss Yu asked in amazement, noticing Sophia's absence. She left earlier while you were talking with your eyes closed, someone informed her. On the day of the gala night, Sophia opted to stay at home with little Romeo. Sweetie, why don't you join Daddy at his gala dinner? Little Romeo inquired innocently. That's because your daddy has someone going with him, Sophia explained gently, trying to avoid any further questions from her son. Bad daddy, he has a wife but he's still bringing another woman out, little Romeo exclaimed, his eyes filled with fury as he expressed his disappointment in his father. Sweetie, don't you want to go? He asked Sophia, seeking her agreement. No, but your daddy doesn't allow us to go, Sophia replied, gently running her hand over little Romeo's head in a comforting gesture. But I want to go, little Romeo insisted, his determination evident in his voice. It's okay, we can think of a way to go, he added with a mischievous grin, already plotting a plan in his mind. Uncle, I really want to go to the gala dinner tonight, come bring us over. Otherwise, I'll tell Grandma that you're cheating girls to sleep with you again. Little Romeo's voice was firm, tinged with a hint of threat. Please, my lord, spare me this time. If anything goes wrong because I brought you over, your dad will be furious, his uncle pleaded, desperation creeping into his tone. Humph. Fine, if you won't take me, I'll go myself. Little Romeo's voice carried a threat. Okay, I'll pick you up this afternoon, his uncle finally relented, a tone of resignation evident in his voice. Little Romeo flashed a satisfied smile and gave a thumbs up to Sophia, signaling that his call had gone well. Later that afternoon, Romeo hurried Sophia as his uncle arrived, his glamorous and handsome features reminiscent of his brother, Marco Gian. Hello, I'm Mike, he said, extending his hand to shake Sophia's. She reciprocated the greeting with a smile, introducing herself in return. Uncle, stop wasting time, let's go, little Romeo demanded impatiently. Wait, do you have a gown, Miss Tang? Mike inquired, turning his attention to Sophia. No, I don't, Sophia replied. Hang on, Mike said, stepping aside to make a phone call. Stylist, bring me a red ankle-length gown now. The measurements are 85, 56, 92, he instructed, stunning Sophia with the accuracy of his measurements without even measuring her. There's no need to be shocked, sweetie. As long as it's a woman, Uncle can tell her measurements with just one look, little Romeo reassured Sophia. Yeah? No, with one look? Does that mean he's been with countless women? Sophia thought to herself, her expression turning heavy. She couldn't help but draw a comparison to Wayne Luo. They finally made it to the gala dinner, dressed fantastically, all thanks to Mike's assistance. As they stepped into the hall, murmurs arose among the attendees. Isn't that the second young Master Jian? And who's the girl next to him? She's gorgeous, the attendees remarked. Marco Jian's displeasure was evident as he noticed their presence. They even came, though I forbade them to. Humph, how dare they, he thought angrily. Observing Sophia's dolled-up appearance despite accompanying another man only fueled his irritation. What a naughty woman. Looks like she lacks some obedience, Marco thought to himself, his frustration mounting. This is not a place for you. Send him back home now, Marco demanded upon seeing little Romeo at the gala dinner. Mike attempted to plead with his brother, but little Romeo began to insist loudly that he wasn't going home, causing a scene with his childish screams. That kid's the Jian family's heir who was never seen in public, one lady whispered to another. I think so. That's when Master Jian got. The second lady started to say but was interrupted by the first lady. Hush, keep it down. If we offend Master Jian, our lives will be tough in the future, the first lady cautioned quietly to her companion. Sophia now understood why Marco wouldn't allow little Romeo to attend such events. Marco Jian remained silent as he observed his son crying out, the spectacle unfolding for all to see. Okay, what's going on here? A lady asked, walking up to witness the scene created by little Romeo. Grandma! Little Romeo cried out, rushing to hug the lady. Oh, my little darling, why are you here? She asked little Romeo happily as she embraced him. Let's go get some nice food, she said, leading the child away from the adults. As they moved away, Marco glanced at Sophia coldly. You should leave now, he stated, backing her with his commanding presence, stunning her. Angered by Marco's coldness, Sophia turned to leave with frustration evident in her demeanor. Miss Tang, Mike called out to her. I'm fine, you guys go ahead. I'll be heading back first, Sophia said angrily before storming out of the dinner. Amongst the crowd, Wayne spotted Sophia walking out, her expression clearly upset. "Sophia," he called out, running to her and reaching out to hold her hand, halting her movement. "Wayne, let go," she demanded. "I won't let go. Marco obviously doesn't care about you." "Leave him," Wayne insisted, still holding on to her hand firmly. "This is the group's annual dinner." "I'm going to scream for help if you don't let me go," Sophia exclaimed, her tone tinged with a hint of threat, trying to free herself from Wayne's grasp. "Let's go somewhere quiet," Wayne said with an unsettling smile on his face. "Wayne, what are you trying to do?" Sophia asked almost immediately, her voice tinged with fear as she sensed his intentions. Without warning, Wayne seized Sophia, covering her mouth with his hand to prevent her from screaming. "Do? I've always regretted not taking you for my own then," he said with jealousy evident in his tone as he led Sophia out of the room. Wayne forcefully led Sophia to the back staircase of the building before finally letting go of her. "Wayne, I beg of you, please leave me alone," Sophia pleaded desperately. "How could I leave you alone?" Wayne retorted, still gripping her arm tightly. With a sudden movement, he tore Sophia's dress, causing her to cry out in distress. Sophia's distress only seemed to please Wayne as he looked and rubbed her thigh with a twisted sense of satisfaction. In desperation, Sophia leaned towards Wayne, sinking her teeth into his shoulder. Wayne cried out in pain and reacted by hitting Sophia forcefully. "Damn woman," he shouted as Sophia staggered from his shove, losing her footing and tumbling down the stairs. With a sickening thud, Sophia's head struck the hard floor, rendering her unconscious. "Sophia?" Wayne called out, his voice filled with concern, though his actions had caused her fall. "Let's see how you run now. That's what you get for resisting me." Wayne taunted Sophia, his voice laced with malice as he shook her, feeling no remorse for his actions. "Does it hurt?" he asked, his tone mocking as Sophia lay unconscious. "Sophia? No. You vicious woman. You'd rather die than let me touch you." Wayne screamed at the motionless Sophia, his anger boiling over. "Baby, I'm booking all of you for myself tonight," someone called out from upstairs, their voice carrying a sinister undertone. Someone's coming, Wayne thought immediately, panic coursing through him. "I can't let anyone see that I've caused Sophia's death," he muttered to himself, hastily dropping her body on the floor and fleeing the scene. Meanwhile, Mike stood at the top of the stairs with a woman he had just met. Oblivious to what had occurred below, they were engrossed in their own world, unaware of the tragedy that had unfolded at the bottom of the stairs. "Second young Master Jian, you're so impatient. Can't you wait until we go somewhere more comfortable?" the lady asked, teasingly. "It's all your fault, baby. You're so charming that my soul's attracted," Mike replied, his tone smooth and charming. "Why is there a person lying over there?" the lady exclaimed, suddenly noticing someone on the floor. "Oh no! Someone is dead," she shouted in alarm upon realizing that Sophia was lying lifeless on the ground. Michael Jean was engaged in conversation with a lovely woman at the gala dinner, gracefully holding a glass of wine. Suddenly Mike intervened, calling for Michael's assistance urgently. Mike quickly guided him to another room where Sophia lay unconscious. "I found her at the stairwell injured, so I brought her here and fetched you," Mike explained calmly. "Isn't she the wife that Marco just married? What's going on?" Michael Jean inquired upon seeing Sophia. "Wife? When did Marco get married? Why wasn't I informed?" Mike asked, surprised. "You must be mistaken," Mike responded, incredulous. "Ever since Marco developed his allergy to women from Sonia." Mike was saying before being interrupted by Michael, who grew impatient. "Enough of this nonsense, get Marco here immediately," he ordered firmly. Marco Jian stood calmly in the gala dinner, unaware that he had caught the eye of a woman who admired his appearance. "Master Jian is quite handsome," she mused to herself, contemplating saying hello to him. However, before she could approach him, Mike rushed into the hall and forcefully ushered Marco away, telling him about a life-threatening situation. Marco was left bewildered as Mike led him away. The woman observed Marco Jien's departure with curiosity, pondering if Mike's actions of preventing him from interacting with other women meant something more. She wondered to herself, could Second Master Jien be harboring feelings for me? Meanwhile, in the VIP resting room where Sophia was laid, Marco Jien was struck with disbelief at the sight before him. "What's happening here?" Marco demanded, his voice filled with anger as he observed his wife's head being bandaged, his expression tense. "We're not certain about the cause of her injuries, but Second Master Zhong discovered her," Michael Zhong explained calmly. "Fortunately, her injuries don't appear to be severe. I've already tended to them," he added reassuringly. "You should stay here and keep an eye on her and bring her to the hospital in the morning," Michael Zhong instructed calmly. Meanwhile, Marco Jien's mind was consumed with anger, wondering who had dared to lay a hand on Sophia. Suddenly Sophia cried out in pain, causing Marco to call out to her. "Mrs. Jien," he said softly, concerned. However, Sophia, in the midst of a nightmare, pleaded for it not to come near her, crying out for help. Puzzled, Marco remembered the last time Sophia had cried out for help, she had called out Wayne's name. "Who do you want to save you, Mrs. Jien?" Marco inquired gently, leaning closer to Sophia. "Marco, save me," Sophia stuttered, still caught in the grip of her dream. Relieved, Marco reassured her, "Yes, Mrs. Jien, you did wonderfully today. You'll be well rewarded." With a tender kiss, he comforted her. As Marco kissed her passionately, he couldn't help but think, "That's right, remember my name, Sophia," as he kissed her passionately. The next morning, Sophia suddenly shouted, "No, no. Mrs. Jien, you're finally awake?" Marco Jien said, his voice filled with concern. Sophia, startled, stuttered as she realized Marco was beside her in bed. "Marco," she managed to say. "Why am I here? Where is this place?" she asked, looking bewildered. Surprised by her questions, Marco asked gently, "Do you remember who injured you last night?" "Injured? When was my head bandaged up?" Sophia questioned, her hand instinctively reaching up to touch the bandage. "I only remember leaving the dinner last night. After that everything is blank," she explained, feeling a slight ache. Marco looked at her in disbelief. "You don't remember anything?" he asked, surprised. "I don't remember a thing," Sophia confirmed with a shake of her head. Why am I here?" Sophia asked, feeling lost and unsure of her surroundings, her mind clouded with confusion. Marco offered a soft smile. "You had a bit too much to drink last night and then you initiated things," he explained gently, causing Sophia to recoil, pulling the bedsheets tighter around herself, startled by the revelation. Later, Marco Jien accompanied Sophia to the hospital for further examination. "Lie down flat, please," a doctor instructed as he prepared her for a brain scan. Michael Zhong informed Marco that Mike had found Sophia in the stairwell outside the banquet hall, disheveled and unconscious. "I've checked, Sophia was not assaulted," Michael Zhong reassured Marco. "How dare he?" Marco exclaimed angrily, his frustration evident in his tone. "I suspect someone attempted to assault her, but she fell down the stairs and hit her head instead," Michael Zhong concluded thoughtfully. "The perpetrator likely thought she had died when she fainted and fled out of fear of being caught," he added. Marco inquired if Mike had seen who did it, to which Michael replied that he hadn't seen anyone. "There's no camera in the stairwell and Sophia can't recall," Michael Zhong explained. "But what puzzles me more is why she can't remember what happened last night," he mused, his hand resting on his chin. "I obtained her medical records and discovered that she nearly drowned a few years ago," Michael Zhong revealed. "Someone rescued her and took her to the hospital. When she regained consciousness, the doctor noted that she had lost almost a year's worth of memory," he explained further. Marco pondered this information. "So, could her memory loss be related to the incident 5 years ago?" he asked, seeking clarification. Sophia also mentioned that her mother died by drowning, Marco Jien remarked. "It seems we need to send someone to investigate," he added, considering the possibility. Michael Zhong nodded in agreement. "It's highly likely, but it's unlikely to be a simple case of drowning. There must be more to it, he suggested. Michael paused, indicating he had more to reveal about Sophia's past. Thank you, doctor, Sophia said gratefully, expressing her appreciation to the doctor who had run tests on her as she approached the door. From her medical records it appears that 5 years ago she gave birth to a boy, Michael said, breaking the silence. Marco Jen, how do you plan to address this? Sophia wondered uncertainly as she eavesdropped on their conversation, recalling Marco's previous indifference when discussing similar matters with friends. So? Marco responded casually, seemingly unfazed by Michael Zhong's revelation. Michael was shocked. You don't mind, he asked, taken aback by Marco's nonchalant attitude. Mind what? I have a 5-year-old son myself, don't I? He questioned, his tone reflecting his lack of concern. Michael nodded in realization. No wonder you're Master Jian, he remarked finally, understanding Marco's perspective. Meanwhile, Sophia listened in, feeling a sense of relief and happiness at Marco's reaction. I'm done with my checkup, Sophia exclaimed happily as she ran towards Marco Jian. Let's go, Michael will send us the report, Marco instructed her, prompting a confused shout from Michael Zhong. As Sophia held hands with Marco, she couldn't help but feel a warmth spreading within her. Oh no, it seems I've fallen for this man, she thought to herself. After you, Mrs. Jen, Marco said politely, reaching to open the car door for Sophia. Thank you, she replied with a grateful smile as she stepped into the car. Watching them, Michael Zhong couldn't help but notice Sophia's allure to Marco. He felt a glimmer of hope stir within him. Perhaps, he mused to himself, Sophia could help him move on from the pain of losing Sonia. As the car pulled away, Sophia arrived home to an enthusiastic welcome from little Romeo. Sweetie, you're back. I missed you so much, he exclaimed, his excitement palpable. I missed you too, Sophia said warmly as she reached out to embrace little Romeo. However, before their embrace could fully form, Marco swiftly intervened, whisking Sophia away from little Romeo's reach. Disappointed, little Romeo's anger was evident. Marco, I won't talk to you anymore, he cried out, hurt by Marco's actions. How dare you call me by my name? Are you itching for a beating? Marco retorted angrily, his frustration evident. Don't treat him like that all the time, Sophia interjected calmly, addressing Marco. Her words carried a gentle reprimand, reminding him to be more considerate of little Romeo's feelings. Is Mrs. Jen blaming me? Marco inquired, his anger evident as he held on to Sophia. Let go of me, I'll go console him, Sophia replied gently, indicating her desire to comfort little Romeo. Turning to Nanny Zhang, Marco then asked about the preparations. Nanny, are the dishes I requested for Madam's cognitive health ready? He inquired. Yes, young master, they're ready, Nanny Zhang confirmed. Starting today, make sure she has them included in all 3 meals, along with evening snacks, Marco instructed, emphasizing the importance of consistency in Madam's diet. What? Sophia exclaimed. I can't believe Marco is suggesting this. How foolish does he think I am? She felt a surge of frustration at the idea of being forced to eat excessively due to Marco's instructions. The thought alone made her feel nauseous. Externally she maintained her composure, but internally Sophia couldn't help but resent Marco's decision, finding it both unnecessary and misguided. Sophia gently placed the bowl on the table after finishing her nourishing soup. Can we please stop with this nourishment? She pleaded with Marco. I feel like I'm going to be sick if I have to keep drinking it. Marco remained firm in his decision. What you lack normally needs to be added in, he explained. Besides, in a few days' time your proposal will enter the bidding stage. When that time comes you'll have to go to Thailand to participate in the shoot, he informed her matter-of-factly. That's right, Sophia thought happily. I won't have to drink this nourishment soup when I'm in Thailand. However, Marco quickly intervened, tempering her excitement. Don't be so happy, he cautioned. You can't skip any meals. Feeling somewhat deflated, Sophia nodded in understanding. Later, Marco expressed his thoughts to Sophia. Mrs. Jen, don't you feel that we should make full use of these few days? He asked, catching her off guard. Their conversation led to a moment of intimacy, and they shared a tender moment together later that night. On the day of the shoot, Sophia arrived in Thailand undeterred by the delayed flight. Despite the setback, she maintained her optimism. Apologies everyone, the flight was delayed, she announced upon her arrival. Let's begin filming. However, her enthusiasm was met with a harsh remark from a colleague named Yvonne. Who knows who you slept with last night, you're so late. Yvonne exclaimed loudly, clearly irritated by Sophia's tardiness. Sophia, caught off guard by the accusation, responded awkwardly. You're actually right. I was with the CEO last night, my body's still aching, she replied, attempting to diffuse the tension with a touch of humor. You are shameless. Yvonne exclaimed at Sophia, her frustration evident. How dare you insult our CEO? Miss you, did you hear that? Yvonne continued, addressing Miss you as she pointed accusingly at Sophia. Miss you responded coldly, her tone devoid of sympathy. I heard it, so what? She retorted. It's a fact that she slept with the CEO last night. Her words carried a sense of indifference, adding to the tension in the room. How is that possible? Yvonne thought in disbelief, taken aback by Miss Yu's unexpected response. She couldn't fathom how Miss Yu could make such a claim. Miss Yu's expression darkened further, her dissatisfaction apparent. Sophia's marriage to Marco had already stirred resentment within her, and Yvonne's remark only fueled her discontent. Who else should I scold but you? Miss Yu thought, her frustration boiling over. Her thoughts carried a sharp edge, highlighting her displeasure with the situation. As for you, Yvonne Chu, all you do is stir up trouble instead of focusing on your work, Miss Yu reprimanded sternly. If you create any more problems for us and delay the progress, you'll face severe consequences. Feeling chastised, Yvonne responded with a stutter, acknowledging her mistake. Yes, I won't do it again, she replied, her shame evident in her voice. Yvonne couldn't shake off her unease about Sophia's relationship with the CEO. She couldn't help but wonder what Sophia had done to gain Miss Yu's favor. Even Ruby, another colleague, conceded defeat in the face of Sophia's apparent influence. Stop being so arrogant, Yvonne seethed inwardly, her anger simmering. We're not in the office anymore, and you have no backer. Let's see how I make things difficult for you. Everything's ready? Let's start filming, Sophia said confidently to the movie director, eager to begin. The shoot might need to. Before the director could finish speaking, an actress suddenly interrupted with a loud yell, catching everyone's attention. Hey! What kind of lousy weather is this? The actress exclaimed, frustrated by the heat. And what drink is this? Are you trying to make me die from the heat? I want something chilled, she demanded, directing her anger at the waiter who served her. This is chilled, the waiter stuttered, his voice trembling slightly. The actress refused to back down. Am I right or are you right? She snapped. If I say it's not chilled, then it's not chilled, she barked at the waiter, her tone sharp and dismissive. I'm sorry, I'll go get it again, the waiter apologized hastily, retreating to rectify the situation. Director, I'm feeling so hot. Can't we continue filming tomorrow? The actress pleaded with the movie director. Aya, my dear star, this is the tropics. It's the same weather all year round, the director explained patiently. But it's exceptionally hot today. If this keeps up, I'm afraid I'll suffer from a heat stroke, the actress insisted, expressing genuine concern for her well-being. Why don't we start earlier tomorrow? The actress begged, hoping to avoid the intense heat. Okay then, we'll start work earlier tomorrow, the director agreed, accommodating her request. Miss Luo, considering that 8 in the morning is when people are most energetic and productive, Sophia interjected politely, perhaps we could aim to conclude today's tasks earlier. It would benefit everyone, allowing us to wrap up sooner and have some well-deserved rest. What do you think? Angered by Sophia's suggestion, Mimi Luo retorted sharply. Who are you? What rights do you have to instruct me? She demanded, her tone laced with irritation. I am. Sophia was introducing herself calmly, but Miss Luo quickly interrupted her with disdain. I can't be bothered with you. I'm going now, Miss Luo said dismissively as she walked away. Stop right there. Miss Yu's voice pierced through the air, halting Miss Luo in her tracks. Gen E Group did not pay you to come here and enjoy the scenery. Miss Yu's tone was stern, emphasizing the seriousness of the situation. Miss Luo trembled as she observed the woman's formidable presence. Her expensive attire and commanding demeanor hinted at a high-ranking position. Could she be Fifi Yu, the vice chairman of Gen E Group? Miss Luo pondered nervously. You're mistaken, Miss Yu, Miss Luo said tensely, trying to compose herself. I'm grateful to be chosen by the Gen E Group for this opportunity. I'll do my best for the shoot, naturally. Miss Yu cut her off, her tone leaving no room for argument. What are you waiting for? Move and start the filming, she demanded, dismissing any excuses to which Miss Luo affirmed. Miss Yu sighed, returning her focus to the shoot. How useless. I'm going now, she said to Sophia as she made her departure. Can't even handle a shrew, Miss Yu thought with a side glance at Sophia before leaving. Sophia couldn't shake off a sense of relief mingled with confusion. Why do I feel like Fifi was here to help me, she pondered, feeling a bit calmer amidst the chaos. Unfortunately, the shoot did not go well. The director expressed his frustration, addressing the assembled crew. Who are all these people you've brought? Do they even know how to film an advertisement? He demanded, expressing his disappointment. They've made me lose all my feelings for the shoot, Miss Luo exclaimed dejectedly as she walked away from the shoot. If this goes on, how long before today's shoot ends? She muttered in frustration. Please calm down, the director cried out, trying to salvage the situation. He turned to address another actress who was obviously performing very well. What's going on? Do you know how to act? He asked, pointing to her. Stella's performance stood in stark contrast to Mimi Luo's. Despite being a superstar, Mimi Luo maintained the same expression regardless of the scene, drawing attention to her lackluster performance. Sophia observed with concern as Mimi Luo portrayed the simple and strong female lead in the script as a scheming vixen. I'm sorry, director, Stella Lin said softly, acknowledging the tension. Scram! There are many people who are eyeing this role. You're not the only one we have, the director snapped rudely at Stella. Director, as an onlooker, I can see that she's not the one with problems in her acting skills, Sophia interjected calmly, trying to defuse the situation. I don't believe that you cannot see that, Sophia interjected, intruding on the director's decision. Who are you? How dare you criticize me, the director blurted out, his voice edged with anger. I'm a nobody. I just can't take it when I see people bully the weak but won't stand up against bullies, Sophia replied rudely. What is this? Does the Gen E Group allow anybody to just criticize the director like this? The director exclaimed, his frustration reaching a boiling point. I quit. You can find someone else to do it. With that he screamed, throwing his scripts on the floor in frustration. Since you've chosen to walk off the job, I'll have to report this to the higher-ups. You may go back and prepare the compensation for breach of contract, Sophia said, pretending to call the Gen E board. Are you serious? You're the one who's interfering with the shoot. Even if it's a breach of contract, it's a breach on Gen E Group's side, the director retorted. Oh. This was not written in the contract. Sophia countered, maintaining her stance. Why don't you go back and read the contract properly, director? Sophia challenged, annoying the director in the process. Are you guys very free? He shouted at some staff members nearby. Yes, director, they replied nervously. Hurry up and get Mimi here. Do you want to pay the compensation? He barked at them, his frustration evident. Thank you for standing up for me. But that director and Mimi are both people who bear grudges. For the next few days you might find things very difficult, Stella Lin warned Sophia earnestly. It's okay. I won't have any contact with them after this job, but I might have implicated you, Sophia replied, expressing her concern for Stella Lynn's potential involvement. My relationship with Mimi has always been rocky. Even if you don't stand up for me today, she'll still find faults with me anyway, Stella Lynn confided in Sophia. No matter what, we have to learn to protect ourselves. Tolerating everything will only encourage some people to bully you more, Sophia educated Stella Lynn on defending herself. You're right, Stella replied, thanking Sophia for her advice. Director, I can continue to film if you want, but I want a change in personnel, Mimi Luo said dejectedly to the director, expressing her discontent. My dear Miss Luo, it's not easy to find temporary actresses. Why don't you be the bigger person and not hold it against her, the director suggested, attempting to diffuse the tension. Isn't there a ready-made one? Other than her, I won't act opposite anyone else, Mimi Luo declared, pointing at Sophia with determination. Sophia was taken aback by Mimi Luo's words, surprised that she was being considered as a substitute actress. Fine, I'll do it, Sophia said with bold resolve. You should not have agreed to it. She must be trying to find an opportunity to take revenge on you. Stella Lynn warned Sophia, concerned for her well-being. Don't worry, I'll be fine, Sophia reassured her, offering her assurance. During the shoot, the director directed, all right everyone, for the 5th scene today, the female lead slaps her best friend to wake her up after seeing that she has abandoned herself to despair. Ready? Action, the director announced loudly. Are you stupid? So what if you're dumped by a love rat? Will the earth stop spinning because you're not with him anymore? Mimi Luo said to Sophia as they acted their roles. Fine, since you're abandoning yourself to despair, I'll slap some sense into you today. About to slap Sophia, Mimi Luo's hand froze as Sophia swiftly retaliated, delivering a resounding slap to Mimi Luo's cheek, reddening it with her palm. Mimi Luo was stunned by Sophia's unexpected reaction. Oh no, the director cried out, alarmed by the unexpected turn of events. Why did you slap me? Mimi Luo demanded angrily, her hand clenched in the air. Isn't it written in the script? Sophia replied innocently, feigning ignorance of her role. Oh! I thought I was the one supposed to slap. I'm so sorry, I got it wrong, she apologized, trying to diffuse the tension as Mimi Luo was extremely angry. Sorry, my bad. I promise I won't get it wrong this time, Sophia replied stuttering. Read the script properly, Mimi Luo scolded Sophia. Scene 5, Cut 2, Action, the director called out as the scene was set for another shoot. I'll slap some sense into you today, Mimi Luo said, raising her hand high to hit Sophia. However, Sophia dodged swiftly, causing Mimi Luo to lose her balance and crash to the floor. Oh! Miss Luo, what's wrong? Sophia asked, concerned. I'm done. I'm done for today. Mimi Luo exclaimed, her face marked with bruises from the fall, indicating her distress. Vice Chairman Yu, Sophia actually hit Mimi during the scene where she's supposed to be slapped. Several of us, including myself, observed it, Yvonne reported to Miss Yu, hoping for disciplinary action against Sophia. This incident has caused quite a stir, and I believe a demotion is warranted, Yvonne muttered to herself. Did Sophia strike you? Miss Yu inquired calmly. No, she responded firmly. Good, well done. At least you didn't embarrass Jian-E Group, Miss Yu reassured Sophia, prompting Yvonne to feel confused by the sudden shift in accusations. Vice Chairman Yu, Sophia struck Mimi and disrupted the shoot, resulting in significant losses for the company, Yvonne informed Miss Yu. So the team lead of the planning department for Jian-E Group is expected to tolerate being bullied by others. Miss Yu responded sharply. Yvonne stuttered, trying to express her thoughts, but Miss Yu interrupted her. You're so noisy. As the vice chairman, I haven't made any statements. Why are you panicking? Miss Yu shouted at Yvonne, commanding her to leave. I'll go, Yvonne said quietly as she exited the room, feeling frightened. Sophia couldn't discern whether Miss Yu was now a friend or a foe. Meanwhile in Mimi Luo's room a plan was being devised. What? Work with you against Sophia? Mimi Luo asked Yvonne incredulously. Yes, Miss Mimi. I'm your loyal supporter. I can't just stand by after witnessing her strike you, Yvonne declared. Even though Mimi Luo felt reluctant to engage with Yvonne, the memory of Sophia's slap in front of numerous witnesses fueled her anger. Fine, let's discuss your plans, Mimi Luo agreed, her expression reflecting her irritation. Okay, Yvonne responded before outlining their intended course of action against Sophia. At night, Sophia peacefully slept in her room. Her door creaked open quietly and someone entered spraying a mysterious perfume that caused her to sleep deeply. A hand lightly traced around Sophia's neck, triggering a momentary image of Wayne strangling her neck before she abruptly woke up from her slumber. Startled, she found herself surrounded by water. Sophia was on a raft in the middle of the ocean, still dressed in her nightwear. What is this place? What's happening? Sophia questioned herself, bewildered. I was sleeping in my room on the bed. How did I end up here? She realized she wasn't dreaming as the cold seeped into her bones. I have to try to reach shore. Otherwise I'll freeze to death even if I don't drown, Sophia thought, shivering uncontrollably. Her clothes were soaked through from the water. In the darkness of the night, Sophia found herself stranded in the middle of the ocean, with no knowledge of how far the shore lay or which direction her hotel was in. Am I going to die here like this? Sophia asked herself, tears streaming down her face. She pondered whether Marco would search for her now that she was gone. Imagining Marco Jian's disapproving face, she imagined his voice chastising her. Mrs. Jian, you're too dumb. You need to consume more tonic to nourish your brain, Marco Jian's imagined words echoed against the sky. Observing the constellation, Sophia recognized the pattern of the Big Dipper. Realization struck her, it was in the north. The hotel is near the shore of Thailand's sea in the south, she thought to herself. I just need to. Sophia's words trailed off as she broke off a piece of wood from her raft. I'll paddle with this, she resolved, determined to navigate her way towards the shore. I want to survive, for Roro, for Marco, Sophia declared with unwavering determination as she paddled ferociously towards the shore. At the same time, Marco Jian arrived in Thailand and headed straight to the hotel. I took an overnight flight to come and meet Sophia. She must be very surprised, Marco thought happily as he approached Sophia's room. The doors open, Marco thought, surprised. Entering Sophia's room, he discovered that she wasn't in bed. Where is she? He mused, feeling a sense of urgency. Fifi, wake up, as he rushed to Miss Yu's door and banged on it. Marco? What's wrong? Miss Yu asked, attempting to inquire about Marco's presence in Thailand, but she was interrupted as Marco grasped her arms, demanding, Where's Sophia? Why are you asking me about your own wife? She's in her room, of course, Miss Yu responded. Marco released Miss Yu's arm without saying a word. Marco Jian, don't overreact. I love you and I'm willing to help, but I'm not obligated to watch over your wife, Miss Yu said, but Marco remained silent and unaffected by her words. There's nobody in her room and her shoes are still there, Marco stated, his expression cold. What? How is that possible? It's already 2 a.m, Miss Yu exclaimed, feeling scared. Could someone here have kidnapped Sophia? Marco Jian thought, his expression tinged with fear, which in turn alarmed Miss Yu. In the hotel lobby, everyone was gathered in the middle of the night, puzzled by the unexpected summons. What's happening? It's past midnight, a staff member exclaimed. Why did the chairman ask us to gather in the lobby? Another staff member murmured, echoing the confusion. I'm so sleepy, another staff member added, expressing the sentiment of the group. Marco Jian sat on a couch with his head slightly bowed. Sophia has disappeared, he announced loud enough for everyone in the lobby to hear. What? Sophia is missing? Someone exclaimed in disbelief. Who's Sophia? Another staff member asked, puzzled. She's the one who confronted Mimi earlier today, right? Another staff member whispered, their confusion evident. Yvonne and Mimi Luo were worried amidst the crowd, fear flickering in their eyes as they wondered if their actions had been uncovered. Anyone who provides information about Sophia's whereabouts will be rewarded with a promotion, a raise, and an extra 5 million as a bonus, Marco Jian declared, his voice filled with seriousness. 5 million? The crowd erupted in astonishment. Wow! Is he serious? Yvonne whispered in disbelief. Master Jian is exceedingly generous in his efforts to locate Sophia, another staff member remarked. I'll only give you 15 seconds. After that the offer won't be valid, Marco Jian added firmly. Yvonne wore a suspicious expression, her mind racing with thoughts. Sophia was so deeply asleep that she didn't even see me. I just need to provide some leads. There's no proof it was me, Yvonne thought, feeling tense. Yvonne, don't be impulsive, Mimi Luo thought. Here, Chairman, I know where she is, Yvonne suddenly cried out, raising her hand and catching Marco Jian's attention. Oh my God, Yvonne, are you an idiot? Mimi Luo thought as she cried inwardly. Chairman, I know where Sophia is. Yvonne exclaimed as she pushed through the crowd to reach the front. Mimi Luo muttered to herself with disdain, Yvonne. Lead the way, Marco Jian ordered, a menacing glint in his eyes. Yvonne complied, guiding Marco Jian and others towards the seaside. Chairman, over here, she said, her tone urgent. I saw from my room that someone placed Sophia on a plank and allowed the waves to carry her away. She pointed in the direction where Sophia's raft had drifted. But it's been a few hours, Yvonne began, implying the possibility of Sophia's demise, but she was cut short by a cry for help from the darkness. Someone was paddling towards them. It's Sophia's voice, Yvonne exclaimed almost immediately. Sophia was nearing the shore, but exhaustion had taken its toll, she couldn't hold on to the plank any longer. With a weary slip, Sophia fell into the water. Sophia! Marco Jian screamed, immediately diving into the sea. Marco, Miss Yu shouted, her fear palpable. Why are you still standing there? Help him quickly! Miss Yu screamed at the two guards standing next to her. If something happened to Marco, you won't be able to pay for it even if you had 100 lives. As Sophia struggled in the water, her mind echoed with Marco's name. Then, suddenly, she felt herself being pulled into his arms as they both emerged from the water, drenched. Sophia, wake up! Marco Jian urged, his voice filled with concern as he held her close. Marco? Sophia uttered softly. Is this an illusion after death? She asked him, her voice barely audible. The King of Hell thought that you're too dumb. That's why they didn't want to accept you, Marco teased Sophia, his tone light-hearted. Sophia chuckled inwardly, recognizing Marco's characteristic sharp tongue. His tongue is so vicious, it must be Marco, she thought to herself. Why are you here? Sophia asked Marco Jian, her curiosity evident. I'm here to settle a debt with you. Marco said to her with a hint of playfulness. Eh? You know that I screwed up today's filming so quickly. Mr. Jian, before you punish me, can I flatter you for a bit? Sophia asked Marco, a mischievous twinkle in her eyes. I'll allow it, he replied, water still dripping from them both. Mr. Jian, you're really handsome. Sophia said, her cheeks flushing slightly as she touched his cheeks. Marco, don't catch a cold, Miss Yu said, covering Marco Jian with a blanket, concern evident in her voice. He pulled it off, wrapping Sophia with the blanket. Back to the room, Marco said as he carried Sophia in his arms, startling the watching crowd. What are you guys looking at? Go back to sleep, don't you have work to do tomorrow? Miss Yu scolded everyone, her tone tinged with growing anger as she just watched Marco. The bath water is ready, go take a bath, he instructed Sophia, to which she simply agreed. Who was trying to harm you? Marco asked Sophia after she entered the bathtub to have her bath. I don't know either, I woke up in the middle of the ocean, Sophia replied. Not pressing for more answers, Marco Jian got up. Take your time, Mrs. Jen, he said before taking his leave. Where are you going? Sophia questioned, a hint of curiosity in her voice. You can't bear for me to leave, Marco asked, teasing her and causing her to blush. That's not it, Sophia protested innocently. Then try not to drown yourself again, he teased her with a smirk. Is it impossible for this man to say something nice, Sophia sighed. But as she reflected, she realized if this man hadn't appeared in time tonight, I might have really drowned, causing her cheeks to flush as she watched her hero depart. Outside, a guard approached Yvonne, offering her the check as promised. Thank you, Chairman. Yvonne exclaimed gratefully. You're really a man of your words, Yvonne said cheerfully as she received the promised compensation. As they entered the room, Mimi Luo couldn't help but wonder why Marco Jian had asked her to accompany them as well. Are you happy? Marco Jian asked her suddenly. Yes, I am, Yvonne replied, a bit taken aback by the question. Good, then it's time for you to give me a satisfactory explanation, Marco said with a serious expression. Explanation? Yvonne asked, confusion evident in her voice. Voluntarily causing harm or attempted murder, which would you choose? Marco asked, his gaze turning deadly as he fixed it on Yvonne, startling Yvonne. Mimi Luo was shocked as well. Chairman. What are you talking about? We were in our rooms at that time. We didn't cause any harm to Sophia, Yvonne stuttered nervously. That's right, Yvonne was really in her room, Mimi Luo said, coming to Yvonne's defense. So it's really the two of you, Marco Jian said with a grin, his tone ominous. The two ladies were visibly shaken to their cores as they've both been seen through. Chairman, we're sorry, we won't do it again. Please let us go this time, they pleaded, bowing to Marco. Why didn't you think of letting Sophia go when you tried to harm her? Marco asked, his anger palpable. Sorry, we were just trying to teach her a lesson, making things difficult for her, Mimi Luo confessed, her voice filled with remorse. We didn't expect things to become so serious. We really didn't mean it. Please let us go just this once, Yvonne pleaded earnestly. Then, which of you is the mastermind behind it? Marco Jian asked, stunning both ladies with his question. It's Mimi, Yvonne said almost instantly. It's Yvonne, Mimi Luo said almost instantly, pointing the blame at each other. Marco Jian remained silent as they accused one another. Master Jian, she's framing me. She was the one who approached me to work together and get back at Sophia. Mimi exclaimed. Yvonne responded fiercely, I didn't frame you. I merely planned to let Sophia sleep on the beach. She was the one who wanted to let Sophia drift off into the sea. It doesn't matter who's the mastermind. You can argue about it in prison together under the charge of attempted murder, Marco Jian said coldly. Yvonne pleaded desperately. No, Chairman. I have parents and kids to look after. I can't go to jail. I'll return the check to you. Please don't put me in jail. Mimi Luo felt increasingly frightened as she pondered, how did this happen? Even if I agree not to pursue the matter. Sophia and the law might not be so lenient towards you too, Marco said with a grin. Yvonne, almost in tears, responded, we'll go apologize to Sophia now and beg for her forgiveness. As long as she forgives us, we'll do whatever she says. Marco nodded as he said, that depends on your sincerity. I'll get Sophia here now. Both ladies assured, yes, don't worry Chairman, we'll definitely show her our sincerity. In Sophia's room, she was asleep but appeared to be having a nightmare. Sophia? Is she having a nightmare? Marco Jian mused upon seeing Sophia's troubled expression as she slept. Don't be afraid, I'm here, Marco Jian thought, comforting her in his arms. In Sophia's dream, she saw Wayne holding a knife. Even if it's just your body, I want you by my side, he said, his intention clear as he moved to stab Sophia. She instinctively tried to block the attack with her hand. Almost immediately Marco Jian appeared, intervening and saving Sophia by slashing Wayne with the knife. He then extended his hand for Sophia to take. Sophia, still asleep, turned over and hugged Marco Jian affectionately, puzzling him. Drawing closer to him, which led to an unexpected intimacy. As they became entwined, a lingering confusion remained. It was a nightmare just moments ago, how did it escalate to this, she wondered as he ravished her. The next day Sophia jolted from sleep as she saw Marco sleeping peacefully beside her. He is so handsome, she thought as her face flushed. Wait, that wasn't a dream last night, she thought. What is it? Is Mrs. Jian trying to take advantage of me early in the morning, he asked teasingly. That's not it, she said as she tried defending herself. I'm up, she said, getting up from the bed. Wash up and come with me, he said softly to her. Where are we going so early in the morning, she demanded. Meanwhile, as they both came out of their room, she saw Yvonne and Mimi kneeling. Sophia, we're sorry. Please forgive us for our actions yesterday, both pleaded as they bowed to her. Yvonne and Mimi, she thought. Stepping into the room, Sophia asked. Forgive what? Didn't you two sleep last night? She noticed the girls looking sleep-deprived as they were forced to wait the whole night. Yvonne confessed. Last night, we sneaked into your room and drugged you so that you wouldn't wake up. Then we worked together. So it was you last night? Sophia asked, shocked. Why, she demanded. Because you humiliated me yesterday, Mimi Luo stated. Yvonne came at the right time to ask me to work with her, she added. Sophia sighed while saying, I can understand Mimi's motive. Turning to Yvonne, Sophia questioned. I just can't figure out your motive. We haven't had any differences between us and my position at work doesn't pose any threat to you at all. Why do you hate me so much? Yvonne felt a surge of anger, thinking. Sophia, you're still acting dumb, with no remorse for her actions. As Sophia observed Yvonne, she couldn't shake off the suspicion. This is the look of jealousy. It's the same as Sarah. Could it be? Sophia wondered with confusion. Could it be that you're secretly in love with the chairman? Sophia asked Yvonne. The chairman is perfect. There's no one in the company who doesn't have a crush on him, Yvonne said, playing with her hair flirtatiously. Sophia shook her head. No, it's not the chairman. You're in love with the manager. You and the manager. Sophia hinted. No. It's not. We're not, Yvonne said, flustered and fearful as she stuttered. Sophia became convinced it was the manager. I don't know why you'd have a misunderstanding about me, but there's nothing between me and the manager. You should be jealous of the manager's wife or his mistress. Sophia shouted angrily. Shut up. Stop spouting nonsense here, Yvonne said, shaken, realizing her secret was exposed. If the manager found out about the matter today, then he'll definitely not have anything to do with me anymore, Yvonne thought in fear. Sophia spoke firmly. Yvonne, let me tell you one last time. There's nothing between me and the manager at all. Don't try to accuse me of something that's not true. I won't pursue the matter this time, but if there's a next time, I'll definitely not let you off, she said, forgiving Yvonne. You said there's nothing between you, but judging by the way the manager looked at you, I don't believe it. Yvonne thought, skeptical of Sophia's words. What a useless woman. I wanted to give her an opportunity to get back at them, who knew she'd be so soft-hearted and just let them off like this. Looks like I have to step in myself, Marco mused with disappointment. Secretary Zhang, send out a notice now. All the companies under Jian E Group as well as our cooperating partners are not to employ Yvonne Chu ever again. Also, fire the planning department's manager with immediate effect as well. If his private life is so filthy, we can't expect any decent work from him. Marco Jian said to his secretary. Yes, sir, the secretary replied. No, Chairman, the manager has always been professional and diligent in the company for all these years. He's innocent, you can't fire him. Yvonne said, terrified as she pleaded with Marco Jian. Take her away, Marco Jian ordered. The guards immediately complied, dragging Yvonne away. Chairman, you can't do this. Yvonne protested. Sophia, this is all your fault. I hate you. I'll definitely not let you off, Yvonne swore vehemently as they carried her out forcefully. Sophia remained silent, overwhelmed by the situation. Master Jian Mimi Luo began before being interrupted. Secretary Zhang, please disseminate the directive that Jian Yi Group will enforce a ban on Mimi Luo effective immediately. Any involvement with her in film projects aside from adult films will be considered a violation of Jian Yi Group's policies, Marco Jian instructed calmly. Yes, Chairman, Secretary Zhang acknowledged before carrying out the order. A what? Master Jian, please, Mimi Luo pleaded as she knelt before him. Consequently, the agency implemented a complete ban on Mimi Luo. Following Sophia's recommendation, her acting partner, Stella Lin, assumed the leading role in the advertisement this time as per Marco's instructions. After a successful shoot in Thailand, they returned home. At the Jian's manor, Sophia remarked wearily, "We're finally home," slipping off her shoes. Phew, business trips can be exhausting, she added, heading straight for the bathroom for a shower. Suddenly she felt a cold touch causing her to scream. She turned to find her husband, Marco Jian, standing there. What? What are you trying to do? She exclaimed in surprise. I want you, Marco said, his tone romantic. But I'm really very tired today, Sophia told him honestly. So? Marco Jian asked with a playful smile. How about tomorrow? Sophia asked, her words stuttering as she blushed. Without speaking further, Marco kissed her as the shower continued running. You said it yourself, Marco said excitedly. Blushing even more, Sophia couldn't help but thought, did I just dig a massive hole for myself? The next day Sophia leisurely made her way to the office, a soft tune escaping her lips. Abruptly she was interrupted by a voice calling her name from behind. Sophia. The sound of her name was followed by an unexpected embrace from behind. Startled, she turned to find Wayne standing there. Wayne? Sophia's surprise was evident in her voice. Let go of me, she demanded, struggling to break free from his hold. No, I won't, Wayne insisted, his grip firm. Sophia reacted by hitting him with her elbow. Wayne cried out in pain, finally letting go and rubbing the spot where Sophia had struck him. Sophia was shocked as she saw how disheveled Wayne looked. He reminisced about the night at the gala party when he had left her. Afterward, he scoured through all the news in the city, anticipating reports of her demise. Yet, to his surprise, he found no such news regarding Sophia. It was then that he realized she had merely fainted, not perished. Wayne shouldered the burden of blame for his impulsive actions and the near-fatal repercussions for Sophia. Seeking solace, he resorted to daily drinking to dull his pain. Reflecting on his behavior, he thought, after that I lingered near the Jian Yi Group every day and waited for a week until you finally appeared. With this recollection weighing heavily on his mind, Wayne contemplated the consequences of his actions. What happened to me is not important. I'm here to apologize for what happened that day, he said sincerely, his tone laced with remorse. What happened that day? Whatever. It's all in the past, Sophia stated firmly, though she winced slightly from the pain in her hand caused by hitting Wayne. From now on, we don't owe each other anything, and I hope you won't dwell on the past, she continued, her tone resolute. Also, I'm no longer the Sophia who was at your beck and call. If you dare touch me again in the future, Marco will take drastic measures against the entire Luo family, she warned him with a cold, unwavering look. That's right. You just need to give the word and I'll be destroyed. I understand that very clearly now, Wayne admitted solemnly. I hope you won't disturb me again. Goodbye, Sophia said firmly, walking away from Wayne. As she reached the entrance of the Jian Yi Group, Sophia halted abruptly when someone rushed to meet her unexpectedly. I finally found you, sister. Please, let's not fight over Wayne anymore. Sarah exclaimed as she ran to meet Sophia. Sophia was taken aback. What? My God, did the two of you plan to ambush me together? She thought, unable to believe she was encountering the two most troublesome people in her life on the same morning. Sarah Tang, you need to make things clear. When have I ever fought with you for a man? Sophia demanded, puzzled. Aren't you tired of doing this all the time? She wondered. Sarah Tang's eyes welled up with tears. That's because I'm pregnant with Wayne's child, but... She confessed, her voice almost breaking as she recalled informing Wayne of her pregnancy. Abort it. Find someone to settle it yourself. I've been very busy recently, so I can't accompany you, Wayne told Sarah coldly, handing her $5,000. Sarah was taken aback. What did you say? Wayne. How can you be so heartless? She asked him in desperation. Despite her anguish, Sarah vowed silently, Wayne Luo, I'll definitely make you marry me. As she knew she couldn't reveal the real reason to Sophia. But Wayne is unwilling to marry me because of our relationship as sisters. But my sister, if you talk to him, I'm sure he'll marry me. Sarah Tang pleaded with Sophia. Sophia felt a wave of tension hearing Sarah's words. You mean you want me to talk to Wayne Luo and convince him to marry you? She asked incredulously. Yes, sister. If it's you, he'll definitely agree, Sarah Tang said, smiling hopefully. Oh my God, how could there be someone as shameless as Sarah Tang in this world? Sophia thought to herself, feeling conflicted. My views of life are being changed, she muttered to herself, feeling confused. Sarah Tang, are you out of your mind? I really need to get to work. Can you please leave? Sophia pleaded. Sarah doubled over as she grabbed Sophia's legs as she responded tearfully, my stomach hurts, Sophia. You have to help me, you have to save my child. Sophia sighed, relenting. Okay, fine. You can stop acting. As you wish, I'll call him now. The two of you are perfect together, Sophia conceded, agreeing to call Wayne. Do you really think so? Sarah asked, visibly pleased. Sophia dialed Wayne's number. Sophia? Wayne answered, shocked that she called. Marry Sarah Tang, Sophia said plainly into the phone. Is this truly what you want? Wayne questioned, his tone tinged with sadness. Yes, I genuinely want you two to be together, building a life with lots of children and grandchildren, Sophia replied, smiling. While inwardly she beamed with joy. Meanwhile, Sophia couldn't help but thought, maybe now these two will finally stop pestering me. Okay, if that's what you want, Wayne acquiesced, his voice breaking slightly. I'll marry Sarah, Wayne declared, prompting Sarah Tang's eyes to light up with joy. You heard him. Why are you still on the ground? Sophia asked, holding on to her cell phone. Sister, both my unborn child and I are very grateful to you, Sarah expressed her gratitude to Sophia. Now that you're going to be a mother, know your place. Don't come harassing me again. Otherwise, I don't know what I'll do to you, Sophia warned Sarah, walking away. Sister, I know deep down you still care for me. You must come to the wedding dinner when the time comes, Sarah said, bidding farewell. As Sophia walked away, Sarah chuckled to herself. Don't be mistaken, Sophia. This child isn't Wayne's. I couldn't risk giving birth to his child, Sarah thought with a wicked grin, her true intentions hidden behind a facade of gratitude. It's all because Wayne always took all the necessary safety precaution, that's why I had to get another man's help, Sarah thought. Unbeknownst to Sophia, she had recorded their entire conversation on her phone. Sarah, originally planning to dispose of the child after marrying into the Luo family and then frame Sophia for it, now had a plan B. Why am I so smart? Sarah thought to herself, chuckling inwardly. Back at the Tang mansion, Sarah rushed into the house. Mother, grandmother, I'm going to marry Wayne. She exclaimed excitedly. Sarah Tang's mother, Mary Zhong, and the elderly Lady Tang's faces lit up with excitement. Really? Wayne agreed to marry you? Mary Zhong asked in amazement. Our Sarah is so capable. She's secured us a good and wealthy son-in-law, Lady Tang said, beaming with joy. This wedding must be grand, Mary added. But, Sarah was saying before Mary caught her sad expression. What's wrong, Sarah? Her mother asked, observing her daughter's troubled look. It's sister. When I told her the good news, she threatened my unborn child, Sarah explained, holding up her phone. What? How could Sophia be so bold? Mary Zhong exclaimed. She played the recordings of Sophia's last threatening words for her mother and grandmother to hear. Tears welled up in Mary's eyes as she turned to old lady Tang. Mother, isn't this evil? How can this girl be so vicious? What? This little witch is trying to revolt. Lady Tang shouted upon hearing the recordings. Someone get that little loosed woman back here. How dare she have designs on my great-grandchild? Lady Tang exclaimed angrily, but Mary Zhong held her back, trying to calm her down. Mother, even if you get her back here, she might not admit it, Mary Zhong said. Then what do you think we should do? Are we just going to let her do as she wishes? Lady Tang asked, still furious. Mother, I have a good idea, Mary Zhong continued. Sophia is not getting any younger. Do you remember Mr. Liu, whom we've always wanted to work with? I heard that he hasn't remarried after losing his spouse. Why don't we betroth Sophia to him? Mary Zhong suggested. This is a good suggestion. Giving her to Mr. Liu can be considered as her contribution to this family, Lady Tang said, smiling as she turned to face Mary Zhong. Back at the planning department, Sophia's phone rang. Sophia, come back quickly. The doctor said that your father doesn't have long to live, Mary Zhong said, sobbing on the phone. He was okay, how could he possibly be seriously ill all of a sudden? Besides, he doesn't want to see me at all. You must be mistaken, Sophia said skeptically. I beg you, come back and see him one last time. He's your father after all, Mary Zhong pleaded with Sophia. Sophia fell silent for a moment. Okay, I'll head right back, she finally agreed, her voice heavy with sadness, before ending the call. Later, Sophia arrived at the Tang's manor. I'm finally back to this home that gave me nothing but painful memories, she thought to herself. Sophia, Chloe called out in a whisper, hiding behind a bush. Chloe? Sophia exclaimed, surprised to see her friend hiding. Quick, go quickly. This is a plot. They plan to capture you and give you to someone else, Chloe warned urgently. Before Sophia could react, old lady Tang appeared from behind Chloe, shouting angrily. Hey, you cheap woman who lives off us. She yelled, hitting Chloe with an umbrella. Catch her now. Old lady Tang shouted as the guards chased Sophia. Trying to run? Send her over, Lady Tang ordered coldly. They finally caught her, placing a drugged handkerchief over her nose, causing her to pass out. Shania, Shania, Chloe whispered urgently over the phone, while still hiding behind a bush as she called Shania to inform her about Sophia's abduction. To think you have the nerve to call me, Shania said, sounding unimpressed by Chloe's call. Quick, save Sophia, Chloe said almost immediately. What? Shania asked, looking shocked. She hurriedly hopped on her bike and rode to alert Marco Jian. Chloe informed her that Sophia was being given to a rich merchant called Mr. Liu by her grandmother, and he was at the Hilton Hotel, room 546. Shania finally arrived at the Jian E Group's office. Do you have an appointment, miss? The front desk receptionist asked. Get Marco Jian out right now. Shania shouted furiously. At the Hilton Hotel lobby, the guards assisted Sophia to the designated room. Sophia, weakened, whispered for help to the onlookers around, unable to escape from her captors. What are you staring at? One of her captors snapped, glaring at the onlookers with irritation. He was puzzled by Sophia's condition. What's wrong with this woman? It's been over 10 minutes since we drugged her, yet she hasn't lost consciousness. He mused, observing Sophia intently. Unbeknownst to them, Sophia has been deliberately hurting herself in an effort to stay awake, her legs bore evident marks of her struggle as they reached the room. Help, she pleaded, her voice strained, upon noticing a stranger nearby. Mind your own business, one of the abductors snapped, shooting the man a furious glare. The man observed Sophia briefly. This woman is obviously drugged. This kind of situation is quite common in a hotel, he thought, his gaze returning to Sophia. But this woman is different from the other women. The man noticed bruises on Sophia's thighs, realizing she had been pinching herself to remain conscious. Such determination is rare, he thought to himself. As Sophia cried out for help, the guard shouted at the man, attempting to chase him away. "What are you looking at? Scram!" The guard barked, attempting to hit the man. "I hate being touched by dirty hands like yours," the unknown man retorted, seizing the guard's hand. With swift action, he overpowered both guards, subdued them, and beat them in the process. Sophia lay almost unconscious on the floor as the strange man approached. You're quite a looker. Why don't you accompany me for a night as compensation for me saving you?" he suggested, grasping her chin. "Let go of me," Sophia stuttered weakly as he lifted her, carrying her into the room. As he placed her on the bed, Sophia fought to stay awake, biting her lip until blood flowed. "I cannot fall asleep," she thought to herself. "Don't worry, pretty lady. Don't have a habit of taking advantage of someone when they're disadvantaged," he assured her, his tone sincere as he settled her onto the bed. He kissed her cheek gently. "I'll come for the favor you owe me myself next time when you are awake. I want you to give it to me willingly," he murmured to himself before exiting the room. Soon after, Marco Jien's men arrived at the hotel, directed by Marco himself. "To room 546. he shouted, commanding all the guards who had come with him for Sophia's rescue. "Master Jien, you're here," an onlooker remarked with a smile as the strange man slipped away unnoticed. "Marco Jien of Jien E Group? Looks like that pretty lady's identity is pretty impressive. This makes it even more interesting," the strange man thought with a grin as he observed the unfolding scene. "Sophia!" Marco shouted as he barged into the room. Seeing her unconscious on the bed, he noticed the blood and her injuries on her leg. "She's drugged," Marco thought, his concern evident as he surveyed her condition. "There are many wounds on her body, probably because she was trying to stay awake. Why is there a woman that's as silly as you?" he thought, holding her gently in his arms. "Master Jien, the two men outside are subdued, and we found a trembling individual in the bathroom," a guard reported, referring to the captured Mr. Liu. "Please let me go," Mr. Liu pleaded, trembling with fear. Back at Jien's manor, Sophia woke up to find herself sleeping on the bed. Beside her was Marco Jien. "Mrs. Jien, you're finally awake," Marco greeted her, looking at her with warmth. "Mr. Jien, you saved me," Sophia expressed gratefully, hugging him passionately. "It looks like Miss Jien knows very clearly what happened. Then it's time for us to settle the account," he said. "Ah? Settle what?" Sophia feigned innocence, her cheeks flushing as she pretended not to understand her husband's intentions. "Mrs. Jien? You're the one who said you'll compensate me yesterday. I have to take care of you for one whole day. And this is not the first time. So, Mrs. Jien, how are you going to repay me?" he inquired, his tone playful yet insistent. He drew closer to her with a sinister look, prompting Sophia to mutter uncertainly, "I have some money in my card," Sophia offered, her voice tinged with shyness as she played with her hands. "Do you think I lack that bit of money?" Marco Jien questioned, smiling at her response. "Then what do you want to do?" Sophia asked, her curiosity piqued. "I want Mrs. Jien to be forever loyal to me," Marco stated calmly. Sophia was perplexed, momentarily speechless. "Okay," she finally agreed, hugging him with a smile. "And what's more important is your body and your life. Without my permission, you're not to take your own life lightly. Other than me, whoever touches you will become a dead man," Marco stated with a serious look. "If you're in real danger, it's okay if someone touches your body. No matter what happens, you're not to sacrifice your life for your innocence," he continued, his tone firm yet calm. Sophia's eyes widened in understanding. "Okay," she agreed, tears rolling down her cheeks as she smiled through her emotions. Sophia asked Shania if Chloe had left without saying goodbye. Shania acquiesced, explaining that Chloe had left 2 days ago after seriously offending Mary Zhang and the old hag. Shania added that Chloe didn't dare to return to the Tang family and seemed more afraid of facing Sophia, which is why she didn't even want to stay at her place temporarily. Shania said, her anger evident as she spoke. Sophia thought inwardly that Chloe's avoidance was likely due to what happened 5 years ago. She then asked Shania if Chloe had mentioned where she was going. Shania replied that Chloe hadn't specified a destination but had warned Sophia to be wary of Sarah Tang in the future because Mary Zhang and the old hag's attempted abduction on her was due to Sarah's instigation. Shania reassured Sophia, saying that Chloe knew how to take care of herself, with a happy expression on her face. Chloe is still so gentle, Sophie remarked. Suddenly, her phone rang. Sweetie, where are you? Little Romeo asked over the phone. It's Roro. I'm at my friend's place. Do you want anything to eat? I'll buy it back for you, Sophie said, excited to hear his voice. Shania stood beside her, surprised by the phone call. Okay, I want to wear new clothes, Romeo replied. Help me get a few more outfits from the clothing shop that you went to last time, little Romeo said, changing his mind. Okay. I will go shopping with my friend now and buy some clothes for you, Sophie replied. Okay. Bye-bye, Romeo said before hanging up quickly. Sophie felt a little weird about Romeo's behavior as she looked at her phone with mixed feelings. Okay. Sweetie is going to buy clothes according to what I told her now, Romeo told his dad, Marco Jen. You almost messed up a task as simple as making a call, and you say you want to help her get back at the crooks? Marco Jen asked his son in disdain. Ugh, little Romeo said, confused. At the shopping mall, Sophia, Shania, and Yo-Yo walked in, smiling. Did Master Jen like the clothes you bought him last time? Yo-Yo asked Sophia. Even though he said that he doesn't like it, he's still wearing it, Sophia exclaimed, laughing. Shania smiled at this. That's? Shania thought, drawing Sophia's attention. Hector Tang, they thought, shocked. Hector Tang was Sophia's stepbrother and husband to Chloe, their friend. Hector held a man in the mall in a romantic manner. Sophia? Why are you here? Hector asked her, surprised to see Sophia. Hector, you obviously like men. Why would you marry Chloe? She demanded, looking furious. Dear, please give us a moment, Hector said softly, telling his boyfriend to excuse them. What's wrong with you? Chloe didn't say anything, yet you're making a scene here, he said to Sophia with a furious look. You better give me an answer today. What did you do to Chloe? Would a normal girl like her marry you and suffer? She demanded. Are you too free with nothing to do? We're both willing parties in this relationship and our kid is already in kindergarten. Don't interfere in my marriage, Hector told her, looking disgusted. Marriage? Your wife was beaten up, but you are on a date with another man, and you have the cheeks to talk about marriage? And I see a number of bruises on Chloe's body. What's wrong with the people in the Tang family? Shania asked with an angry look, interfering with their discussion. Shania, this is my family's matter. It's not for you to interfere with, Hector said, turning to look at her with a harsh tone. Hector, I didn't want to interfere either, but I can't stand idly by while Chloe and her daughter suffer by being with you. If you have a conscience, get a divorce with her and give her back her freedom, Sophia advised, placing her hand on Hector's shoulder. Sophia, you're interested in too many things. What does it have to do with you whether we get a divorce? He said without any remorse. Hector knew that no matter what, he couldn't divorce Chloe because he would be beaten to death if his father found out he was gay. When he found out that Chloe had a crush on him, he played along and tricked her into marrying him with the intention of hiding his sexuality from his father. That's how I got to live so freely for the past few years. How can I let Sophia mess it up, he thought, his thumb on his mouth. I'm warning you, do not spout nonsense in front of father. If you destroy our marriage, I will definitely not let you off, he said with a dark demeanor, threatening Sophia. Is that so? Sophia said, looking undeterred. He said angrily. Sophia seemed to be different from before. She didn't seem to be as weak as before. I actually didn't manage to scare her. Damn it, Hector thought angrily. I'm warning you for the last time, if you haven't divorced Chloe and given her back her freedom by the time your sister Sarah gets married, I can guarantee you that you will get a big surprise worse than death, she told him, threatening him. In that instance, a strange man in disguise passed Yo-Yo. He hit her hand, handing her a note. A note? She wondered, holding the note. Unwrapping the note, she read a message. Look at the entrance of the boutique opposite. She glanced across and saw Sarah Tang flirting with a man, laughing in a romantic manner at his words. It startled Yo-Yo. Let's go, dear, we're not going to argue with this bunch of women, Hector said, leading his boyfriend out of their sight. Sophia, ignore Hector. Follow me, Yo-Yo said, dragging her hand instantly and leading her to Sarah's direction. They hid behind a secret compartment, secretly watching Sarah and her secret lover. It's Sarah. Who's that man? Sophia whispered softly, watching them. That's the situation. I'm engaged now. Don't look for me anymore in the future, Sarah told the man. Fair enough. It's not so bad to have some sweet memories anyway. But can we have some breakup intercourse? He replied with a resigned smile, pressing her against the wall. Okay, in case you keep harassing me. Hey, not here, she said to him as he tried to uncover her skirt. To the dressing room, Sarah Tang told him. Oh my God, Sophia thought, covering her mouth. Wow, Yo-Yo thought in despair as she took pictures and made video recordings for evidence purposes. This man and Sarah are longtime friends with benefits, she stuttered as the couple headed towards the dressing room unaware that they were being monitored. This is a massive development. I mean, the child that Sarah is carrying might not even be Wayne's, Shania remarked as she turned to face her friends. Almost instantly she was surprised to see Yo-Yo recording the scene. Wow, Yo-Yo, you actually filmed it quietly. I've never been so impressed by you before, Shania said. Grinning, Yo-Yo stood there as Shania requested to quickly see the footage. Handing over her phone, Shania collected it to review. Shania, Yo-Yo, I think I know what wedding gift I'm getting for Sarah now, Sophia declared to the girls. Sophia? Shania called, worried for her friend. During the wedding? Will that be a little too? Yo-Yo began, almost revealing Sophia's plan. Yo-Yo, you are too kind. Don't forget what Sarah and the old hags did to Sophia, Shania interjected, reminding them of the past. That's true, we must not be soft towards people like them, Yo-Yo agreed, clenching her fist with a strong resolve. Not just this once, there was also everything that they did to my mother and me over the years, and for Chloe and her daughter. I don't wish for them to follow the path that my mother and I went through, Sophia said, looking sad. We'll help you. Let's really give the Tang family a surprise, Shania exclaimed, her laughter contagious as she enveloped Sophia in a warm hug, instantly lifting the mood. A month later, today is the wedding day of Sarah Tang and Wayne Luo. Sophia thought, touching up her lipstick as she got ready for the wedding. During this time, Marco received numerous calls every day. Could he have known what Shania, Yo-Yo, and I are planning to do, she thought as she watched Marco's out of the corner of her eye. It shouldn't be. I didn't tell him because I didn't want to trouble him, she concluded, reassuring herself. Shania, Yo-Yo, are you ready? She asked, looking at her friends as they waited for her in front of the Jian's manor. Of course, we are just waiting for you to appear, they replied. Suddenly, a large number of Marco Jian's personal guards appeared from all over, standing behind Sophia, startling her. What's this for? She asked, looking confused. Security for Mrs. Jian, Marco said as he relaxed his back against a wall. But there's too many of them, she added as he smirked. There are at least a few dozen of them. The sight of them following behind me is unimaginable, she thought to herself, still confused. The shareholder of Jian E Group, young mistress of the Jian family, is going back to her home to attend a wedding. How could she go without a display of her power? He asked, holding her chin as their gazes locked romantically. He planted a kiss on her lips as he softly urged her go, leaving her blushing. Let's go, Sophia announced, signaling her friends and bodyguards. Please get in, young mistress, a bodyguard said, opening the door for Sophia, startling her a bit as there were a lot of entourages waiting for them. This is so cool, Shania exclaimed. My God, am I dreaming? Yo-Yo exclaimed, also surprised to see the cars. I didn't expect that I would ever look so grand, Shania said, looking proud of herself. See how happy you are. Have you prepared the stuff? Sophia asked Yo-Yo. Of course, Yo-Yo said, smiling. Judging by our entourage, even if we don't do anything at the wedding, we'll be able to make Sarah look so unhappy that her face will change color, Shania told them happily. Meanwhile, at the wedding, a man read them their vows. Sarah Tang, do you take the handsome and dashing Wayne Luo as your husband and promise to love him forever, never leaving him? The officiant asked her. I do, she said almost instantly. Wayne Luo, do you take the young and beautiful Sarah Tang as your wife and promise to love her forever, never leaving her? The officiant asked Wayne. Wayne went mute for a moment, not uttering a word, perplexing the man. What's the groom doing? Is he too nervous? Someone asked. Doesn't he want to get married? People murmured from amongst the crowd witnessing the event. Wayne, now is not the time to be in a daze, the guests are watching, Sarah thought, looking tense. I do, Wayne finally said, his face going dark. Everyone clapped for the new couple. Congratulations, the officiant told them. Now for the exchange of wedding bands and kisses between the newlyweds. Let's witness the blessed moment for this pair of newlyweds together, the announcer announced as they began kissing. Their intimacy was displayed on a large TV screen. Okay, not here. Let's go somewhere else, Sarah said to her secret lover, which perplexed Wayne as he stopped kissing her. Wondering where the voice came from, he looked up at the screen. Everyone could see Sarah Tang's intimacy with her secret lover. Shut it off. Shut it off now, Sarah shouted angrily, her expression fierce. The crowd began murmuring amongst themselves. Wow, someone exclaimed. That's the bride, someone asked. Who's the guy, asked another. Doing it in the mall openly in the day, that's too wild, someone commented. What's going on, someone asked. Sarah's mom couldn't believe what she was watching, her mouth hung open in awe. Shut it off now, Sarah said aggressively, grabbing the IT specialist tie furiously. It's not me. I don't have the controls, he said, stuttering innocently. I have to shut that projector off, Sarah thought to herself, looking at a computer placed on a table. She approaches the computer to switch it, but Sophia's bodyguards appear, stopping her. Who are you people? She exclaimed in confusion, but they didn't reply. My dear sister, your wedding is too explosive, Sophia said, walking in with her girls. Who's that gorgeous lady? Someone asked. It's Sophia. Sarah's sister, someone replied. I didn't know the Tang family had another daughter, someone said. She's so beautiful, a lady amongst the crowd said. Sophia. No, now's not the time to admire, Wayne thought, looking shocked. You'd better explain what's going on, he demanded, holding Sarah's hands violently. Wayne, she stuttered, unable to mutter any explanation. Does this need to be explained? Your beautiful wife just cuckolded you, Shania said, covering her mouth slightly. Oh no. This situation cannot be handled. I have to divert the audience's attention, Mary Zhong thought, trying to cover up for her daughter. Sophia Tang, I didn't expect you to hate me so much even though I worked so hard to raise you like my own. Today's Sarah's wedding. No matter how much hatred you have for me, you should not have shown it at your sister's wedding. Sarah's innocent, Mary Zhong shouted angrily. Sarah, do something quickly, Mary Zhong thought, signaling her daughter using her eyes. Is that so? Thanks to such a good stepmother like you, placing glass shards into my food. Closing me in a small, dark room, making me take double dosage of medication when I was sick. That's how we got the Sophia of today, Sophia said, holding her chest. Sophia, don't you slander me. Mary Zhong shouted back, causing the crowd to murmur. Wow, is that true? Someone asked in disbelief. As the vice director of a hospital, is she that vicious? Another muttered out loudly. Slander? Mary Zhong, you know best what you've done before. I'll give you a warning. You better pray that my mother's death had nothing to do with you. Otherwise I will never let you off easily, Sophia said, pointing at her stepmother. You, her stepmother shouted, unable to say more words before being interrupted. Also, what happened 5 years ago? You better pray that it has nothing to do with you as well, otherwise you can forget about escaping charges for all these crimes, she told her angrily. Sophia, you're really a heartless person. I've been tolerating your unruly and domineering ways all these years, giving in to you, who knew that you'd. Mary Zhong was saying, kneeling on the floor as she sobbed. Hurry up, Sarah, I can't hold on for much longer, she thought amidst her fake sobs. Sister, I know that you've never liked me. No matter how genuine I've treated you, you've always hated me, Sarah said, approaching Sophia from behind calmly, looking innocent. I also know that you're jealous that I'm marrying a man as perfect as Wayne Luo, but you're actually using such a despicable way to destroy my wedding. Turning to Wayne, Sarah told him the guy on the video is her ex-boyfriend from many years ago. We've already stopped contacting each other for a very long time, Sarah said. I don't know when Sophia took this video secretly and kept it for so many years. She is bringing it out to destroy our wedding now. I didn't expect her to be so scheming, she told Wayne while sobbing. Oh, is that so? Wayne asked, not believing her lies. Wayne, I admit that I've had a few boyfriends before I got together with you, but they are all in the past. We are all adults, we all have a past, right? She asked him. That's right, everyone has a past. Sophia is too much, a lady said, stunning Yo-Yo. Nonsense. This is obviously, Yo-Yo was saying before being interrupted by Sophia. Yo-Yo, let me, she told her. Oh, look at the poster next to them. That's an advertisement starring Stella Lin, who's been very hot recently, she said, pointing out a recent advertisement poster starring Stella Lin in the mall as evidence. If I'm not wrong, this advertisement was aired in the mall last month, which means this video was taken last month, Sophia revealed, stunning Wayne and Sarah. Sarah Tang, Wayne called her name angrily, stunning her. Wayne, Sarah stuttered with teary eyes. Sophia, I'm gonna kill you, Mary Zhong said, running towards Sophia in the bid to grab hold of her but is stopped by Sophia's bodyguards. What? They're resorting to violence, she shouted. Sophia! Stop it! You're also from the Tang family. Don't you have a limit? Hector suddenly asked, talking harshly to Sophia. Hector, it's your turn next, Sophia said to him with a calm tone, before revealing a video of him and his secret lover kissing on the screen. What do you mean my turn? Hector asked, not knowing his sexuality has been revealed. Hector, how dare you? His mom Mary Zhong said with an angry look. Hector! How could you? The Tang family is depending on you to pass on the family name. Old Lady Tang said to him with disdain. Sophia, I'm gonna end your life today, Hector said, rushing towards her. But he was held down by her bodyguards. Ugh, let go of me, he shouted. Brother! I really didn't expect your sexual orientation to be like this. Actually, that's nothing. There are homosexuals everywhere in the world. There is no need to hide it, Sophia said to him, leaning closer to his face. I forgot, she said, covering her mouth. Our father and grandmother are extremely biased towards males. As for those wives that cannot give birth to a son, they will be able to abandon them or even force them to their deaths. I wonder what they will do to a son who can't carry on the family name, she said with a dark expression. Sophia kept a dark look, grinning evilly as she watched Hector's facial expression. Hector went into shock as he imagined his parents' reactions to Sophia's video. You unfilial son, you've disappointed me and your grandmother, his father said angrily, scolding him. He imagined his mother strapping him to a chair, offering him a variety of women to choose from forcefully. My dear Hector, let's do it one by one. They are all very fertile ladies. We'll marry whoever gives birth to a child first, his grandmother said. Hector collapsed on the floor, scared to death. Sophia, what did you do to Hector? Mary Zhong asked her, barking. I didn't do anything, she said, bewildered. I merely scared him a bit, she thought softly. You're so vicious. Do you think you're good by outnumbering us? I'll sue you. You're taking videos of other people's private lives and spreading them around. That's a crime. You'll go to jail, Mary Zhong said, still held down by Sophia's bodyguards. What? I took these videos? Don't spout nonsense. I'm a law-abiding citizen. It's probably someone else who did this. I hope you find evidence soon and catch the culprit, Sophia replied. Sophia, you wench. Ah, let me go, Mary Zhong demanded, trying to free herself from the men's grip but to no avail. Good, very good. That's the expression, the gaze, it's beautiful. Sophia said, holding her hands in front of her face like a camera. Mary Zhong wore an angry look. When you all kept hurting me, I had the same look in my eyes, the same feeling. Now do you feel what I felt then? Sophia asked her with a smile. Sophia, what do you want exactly? Do you really intend to destroy this home? Her father asked as he approached her. Home. From the day you chased me out of the Tang family, I had no more home, she said with a cold smile. From the day my mother went missing and no one knew whether she was still alive, but you all were so vicious that you didn't care. I had no more relatives. Sophia said, her voice filled with anger. You're right, I'm trying to destroy this icy cold cage. This hell that wasted my mother's youth and took her life away, she continued, pointing at her father. Don't worry, I won't let anyone from the Tang family off, she vowed, scaring Mary Zhong. I want every one of you to pay for what you've done. I want all of you to have a taste of living hell, she told them, instilling fear in her relatives. Sophia, the blood of the Tang family flows within you. Can you really bear to, her father began, but Sophia cut him off. Jerry Tang, don't be hasty, she said. These are just the appetizers. I'll serve you the main course in the future, she said, revealing her father's name as she turned her back on him. Your days are still long. You must be strong, she added with a chilling smile. Shania, Yo-Yo, let's go, she instructed her friends as they began to leave. Okay, Shania said, smiling, but Sophia kept a serious look. Even though everything at the wedding was enough to humiliate the Tang family, she knew it did not pose a lethal blow to their business. To completely destroy the Tang family, we have to dig out everything unpresentable they've done over the years, Sophia thought. But she knew it was going to be a long process. We cannot be hasty about it, she told herself. On their way out, they were blocked by some men approaching them. We're from the procuratorate. Who's the person in charge of the Tang group? They asked, showing their warrant. I am, Jerry Tang said, raising his hand to signify he was the one. We've received a report from the public that Tang Hospital has been selling fake contraband medicine for a very long time. Selling illegal organs for profit, which caused many medical issues. Please come with us for investigations, they said, causing him to feel a surge of fear. What? Jerry Tang said, surprised. Sophia did not utter a word, confused by the sudden arrest of her father. No, no, my friends from the procuratorate, you must be mistaken, he pleaded as he was taken away. Sirs, someone must have tried to frame us. We've been earning money legally, old lady Tang begged, falling to her knees. Please show mercy, just name your condition. If it's something the Tang family can do, we'll definitely do it, she continued, still pleading as they led him away. Suddenly, another set of police arrived at the scene. We're the police. Who's Mary Zhong? An officer asked. I am, Mary Zhong stuttered in fear. We've received a report that you're involved in a murder case. Please come to the station with us to assist with the investigation, the police officer told her. Murder case? Could it be that they know about the killing of Sophia's mother? She thought, tense, before she was handcuffed. I didn't. You've got the wrong person. I didn't do it, she pleaded. Wow, this is impressive, Shania said, still in awe. Could this be done by Marco? Sophia thought, still a bit shocked herself. Jerry, Mary, Sophia's grandmother said softly before collapsing and fainting in the process. Grandmother, They all called out. Grandma, Dad, Mum. Sarah called to them as they were being led away by the authorities. All gone, it's all gone, she thought, looking scared. It's all because of this woman. She destroyed everything that I had. I hate her. Sarah thought scornfully as she looked at Sophia with hatred. Sophia, I'll kill you today. Sarah shouted. Sarah Tang, instead of killing me, your groom is still waiting for you to explain to him who the child in your tummy belongs to, Sophia told Sarah, fixing her gaze on the quiet Wayne. Sarah was startled immediately. Wayne. This is your child, of course. Sophia is framing me with those videos and photos. She's trying to split us up. You saw it yourself, the whole Tang family has fallen under her plot, Sarah said, running towards Wayne, pleading. She got a hold of his hand. Wayne, I love you and want to be with you my whole life. How could I be pregnant with someone else's child? She told him calmly. You cheap woman. How dare you make a fool of me in front of so many people? What do you take me for? A pig? He said, hitting her hand away from his. Sarah fell, hitting her stomach hard on the floor. She felt pain coursing through her stomach as she clutched it in agony. Sarah felt intense pain. Ah! My tummy, child, our child. Wayne, don't go away, Wayne. My tummy, our child, Wayne, she called out in pain, holding out her hand to him. But he walked away in anger, not answering her. Please, save me and the child, please, Sarah begged the people who had come for her wedding. They all stood silently, thinking she was pretending. Sophia observed her stepsister in pain, feeling moved. Hey! What are you doing? Shania asked her. Her unborn child is innocent, Sophia said softly. Did you really think that Sarah Tang will give birth to the child? Shania asked, making Sophia realize Sarah's true intent. Shania is right. I'm too naive, Sophia thought with a cold look. Shania, Yo-Yo, let's go, she said finally to her friends. Sophia, you're so cool today, Yo-Yo said happily. Today is the best day of my life, Shania said excitedly. Of course, Sophia said happily. Back at home, Sophia approached Marco Jen. Mrs. Jen, your performance has nothing to write home about, Marco told her, his arms folded, causing her to flinch. I was obviously very domineering and very arrogant today, she protested angrily. But I have to thank Mr. Jen for all of this, she said calmly to him. Oh? Thank me for what? He asked, pretending not to know what she meant. Thank you for your help right from the start, she told him. You were the one who made Roro call me and make me go to the boutique to buy clothes, weren't you? She asked him. You sent someone to follow Hector and Sarah, and you knew they were at the mall. That's why you planned for me to meet them coincidentally, Sophia said, revealing Marco's involvement in her plan. The stranger's note that Yo-Yo received was from your subordinate too, she added. Am I very smart? Praise me, Sophia told him, full of pride in herself. Marco stood there, his arms still folded, looking at her calmly. Looks like the nourishment soup was not a waste. Mrs. Jen is a little smarter now, he told her coldly, his words piercing her heart instantly. But it was a coincidence that you met Hector. After all, he's not that close to you and I couldn't be brothers to deal with him, Marco said. I see, Sophia commented. However, your argument with Hector would have caused you to miss out on discovering Sarah's secret. That's why I ordered someone to pass you the note quickly, Marco explained. You're the one who reported Jerry Tang and Mary Zhong, aren't you? She asked calmly. Yes, I knew that Mrs. Jen was too soft-hearted. That's why I did you a little favor, he told her with a smirk. You're so bad, how cruel. No wonder there are rumors of Master Jen being cold, merciless, and forceful. So, it's not a groundless rumor, she said in disbelief, holding her mouth. But you like it, don't you? He asked, leaning closer to her. What a super narcissist, she exclaimed, turning her back on him. But Mrs. Jen likes it, doesn't she? He said softly, leaning toward her face from behind, causing Sophia to blush. She couldn't utter a word. Just humiliating the enemies is not a wise move, as this will only make them hate you more, he said, lecturing her as she listened keenly. The smartest way to handle this is to grab hold of their weak spots and torment them viciously. Break off their poisonous fangs one by one so they'll be scared just by the thought of you. This way, even if they have a chance to take revenge in the future, they would have lost the weapon and capability to hurt you, he said, facing Sophia. Looks like Mrs. Jen has much to learn, he added, watching her facial expression. Mr. Jen, has anyone ever said you're very scheming? She uttered in shock. He said, pausing for a moment before letting out a satisfied grin. Loads, he told her. Over dinner, little Romeo asked Sophia if she would go with him to the school's parents-child sports meet. Sure, since it's a parents-child sports meet. I'll be there with your daddy then, she told him softly. He won't go, little Romeo scoffed, referring to his father. That's why I always take a leave of absence whenever there's a school event, he said. But it's different now since I have you. That's why I have to take part this time. He added happily. Romeo, your daddy loves you a lot deep in his heart. It's just that his way of showing it is different from the daddies of other families, she said, trying to defend Marco Jen. Marco suddenly let out a cough, signifying his presence at the dining table, causing her to stop talking. Sweetie, ignore him. Let's go, just the two of us, little Romeo said to her. Don't worry, I'll work very hard when the time comes. This way, we'll get first place even without Daddy, he told Sophia confidently. Okay, just the two of us then. We'll work hard together then, but it's not important whether we get first place. The important thing is for you to enjoy yourself, she said, holding his hand. Yay! Sweetie is the best. I love you the most, little Romeo said, kissing her on the cheek. Sophia watched Marco as he drank his tea, looking absent-minded and not concerned about them. Later that night, Marco's phone rang, and he picked it up. Mother? He said. Hello, Marco, you'll be back with Romeo this weekend, won't you? She asked softly. We'll come over if we have no other plans, he replied. No, you have to cancel all other appointments and come over, she shouted, causing him to pull the phone away from his ear. Do you remember Yuki Bai? She'll be here this weekend too. You haven't seen each other for many years. You used to play with her and Matthew all the time. You were so close. Do you know she's very beautiful now? And she's still single. Oh, what a nice girl. You have to come over this weekend, do you hear me? His mom instructed. Marco Jen rubbed his head, feigning tiredness. Okay, are you done? I still need to work, he said to her. Don't stand me up on that day. I'm warning you, his mom threatened before hanging up the call. Yuki Bai, you're just in time, he thought, grinning. Suddenly, there was a knock at his door. Come in, he said. It was Sophia. Mr. Jen, she said, smiling, before getting closer to him and sitting on his lap. How rare for Mrs. Jen to take the initiative, Marco told her, suspecting her motive. Will you go to the parents and child sports meet organized by Romeo's school next week? She asked softly. Did he ask you to come persuade me? He asked her, to which she replied no. But he really wished that you could participate with him, Sophia told him. Oh. Are you a parasite living in Romeo's stomach? He said, causing her to become upset. Can you talk nicely? She demanded. Marco pushed her away from him. I'm very busy next week. The parents and child sports meet is a full-day event. I don't have that much time, he told her, walking away. You can squeeze some time out, just half a day. Roro's very pitiful, she said calmly. Marco noticed little Romeo eavesdropping on their conversation. Young Master Jen, when did you learn to eavesdrop? He asked, startling him. Roro, Sophia called out before he showed up. I'm not interested in what you have to say, little Romeo exclaimed. I'm just worried that you might bully, sweetie, that's why I was hiding outside, little Romeo said rudely to his father. Is that so? Mrs. Jen, you can go back to the room first. I have something to talk to young Master Jen about, he said to Sophia. Okay, Sophia said, a little bit surprised. She left the room, gently closing the door behind her. Is he going to scold Roro again? She thought, leaning her ear against the door to hear their conversation. "Grandma misses you a lot. We'll go back for a meal this weekend," Marco told little Romeo. "Great, I can see Grandma again," he said excitedly. Marco's parents, Sophia thought upon hearing the news from her eavesdrop. Marco will always bring Roro back for a couple of days every weekend. But he has never said he'll bring me, she thought. Actually, I know that Marco is doing that to protect me. After all, I have a complicated past. The Jen family will never allow a woman who had given birth to another man's child to marry into the family, Sophia thought, her facial expression turning sad. Don't be sad, Sophia. The life you have now is the best days of your life. You have to cherish the present, she thought, consoling herself with a smile as she walked away from the hall. Unbeknownst to her, little Romeo saw her through the door's little opening. "Sweetie is gone. Bastard Daddy, what do you want to keep from Sweetie?" little Romeo asked, closing the door. "Do you want Sweetie to take part in the parents' and child sports meet with you?" Marco asked his son, his arms folded and he looked serious. "Of course. Do you even need to ask?" Romeo said to him. "But once Sweetie's relationship with you is exposed, there will be many people who would want to hurt her and you'll not be able to protect her alone," Marco told little Romeo. "Nonsense. I'm not afraid of anyone. Whoever bullies my Sweetie will get my..." little Romeo was saying before he was abruptly cut short by his father. "For example, your uncle, Matthew Jen," he told him, causing Romeo to be stunned and silent. "Come here," Marco said, signaling to his son to come see something on his computer. As he viewed it, he was shocked. "This is," he said, unable to complete his statement. "If you really want to protect Sweetie, you'll have to put up an act with me, a real act. It's much more complicated than the call last time and you cannot fail," Marco said with a stern look. This might be a little difficult for a 5-year-old, but... Marco was about to complete his statement but was cut off by his son. "I'm not little. I'm a man who wants to protect Sweetie. No difficulty can faze me," he said with determination, his hand against his chest. "Good, listen carefully," Marco told him before revealing his plot to his son. The next morning, Sophia and Marco stood, as she helped him knot his tie. "I plan to take half a day off today to go to the police station and ask Mary Jeong about what happened 5 years ago," Sophia told Marco. "Go ahead. I'll send some bodyguards to accompany you," he offered. "There's no need for that," Sophia exclaimed with a serious expression. "It would be too conspicuous to have a few bodyguards in black trailing behind me on the streets. It's embarrassing. Even though I brought a lot of people when disrupting Sarah's wedding, that's totally different," she thought, imagining a group of bodyguards following her. "Don't worry, you won't even notice they're there," Marco assured her. "Okay then," Sophia replied with a sigh of relief. At the police station, Wayne and Sarah walked in together. "I'm going to confirm it once more before we go in," Wayne told her in a harsh tone. "I guarantee it. If you help me bail my mother out, I will sign the divorce papers immediately," Sarah assured him. "Good. Sarah Tang, remember this, if not for the fact that you refused to sign the divorce papers, I really don't want to see your face again," he told her scornfully. "Wayne," she called out to him sadly. "Sophia," Wayne said upon seeing her, both flinching upon seeing each other. "Why would I meet them here?" "Ah, Sarah is trying to bail Mary Jeong out," she thought almost immediately. "No, I have to meet Mary before that happens," Sophia thought to herself. "Sophia, I was preparing to go look for you later. You deliberately made me marry this woman, Sarah. Then you came and destroyed my wedding," Wayne said to her angrily. "And 5 years ago, too, why are you doing this to me?" Wayne questioned her, seeking answers. "Why did I destroy your wedding? You'll have to ask your demure wife. Ask her what she did to me," Sophia told him, causing Sarah to be shocked at her accusation. "Wayne, don't listen to her. Sophia, you've already caused the Tang family to reach this stage. Are you going to continue to slander me?" Sarah said angrily. "Whether it's slander or not, you and your mother know very well. Why don't we go in and ask your benevolent old mother now?" Sophia said coldly. "Sophia, you wench. Try saying that again. You don't have so many bodyguards with you this time, Sarah said with an angry look.
What?
Benevolent old mother is a commendatory term, isn't it? Sophia said with a curious look. Try mocking me again, Sarah said angrily, drawing out a knife. She dashed towards Sophia but ended up stabbing Wayne in the process.
Ah!
Wayne, Sarah thought, looking scared, realizing what she had done.
Ah!
A murder. Someone murdered someone in front of a police station. A bystander shouted, shocking other bystanders. Someone go in and get the police here, another said, drawing Sarah's attention. Sarah looked at her hands stained with blood with a tensed look. I cannot go to jail. I'd rather die than go to jail, she said with determination before running away, pushing off people. Wayne, you! Sophia exclaimed, looking at him on the floor, stabbed. I don't know why I leapt in front either, he said with the knife still tucked in his body. Sophia observed the wound closely. Good thing it's not a deep stab. I'll get an ambulance for you, she said with a sigh, making an emergency call. Wayne held her hand. Can't you accompany me to the hospital? I got injured because I was trying to protect you after all, he told her. My husband has arranged for bodyguards to protect me in secret. There was no need for you to block the attack, she said to him calmly. You are so heartless towards me. Fine, I'll take this blocking for nothing, he said sarcastically. The wedding that you destroyed when taking revenge on Sarah also affected me, an innocent person. You can accompany me to the hospital as a form of compensation, he said, begging her. Sophia was confused about what to do. Sorry, I sincerely apologize to you for what happened at the wedding, but I have something more important to do now, she said, fending off his hand. Wayne couldn't believe his eyes. Sophia walked into the police station, leaving Wayne to wait for the emergency response all by himself. Inside the police station, Mary Jeong was told that someone was here to see her. Sophia, what are you doing here? Are you here to mock me? She asked. Mary Jeong, you think too highly of yourself. I'd rather go back and watch a pointless drama than to see you, Sophia said, closing her eyes and smiling faintly. Wench, go back, I don't want to see you, Mary Jeong said scornfully, trying to chase Sophia. Fine, if you don't want to know news about your daughter, I'll be going then, Sophia said with a grin, immediately upsetting her stepmother. What happened to Sarah? Mary said furiously, approaching the glass wall to get more information about her daughter. 5 years ago, what did you do to me? Sophia asked her with a serious look, terrifying Mary Jeong. She knows that it had something to do with me? It's impossible, Mary Jeong thought, sweating as she felt uncomfortable with Sophia's question. You were shameless and ran off with another man, and you have the cheek to ask me now, Mary said, folding her arms as she turned her back to Sophia. I'm fine, Mrs. Tang. You can remain tight-lipped for now. After all, you don't care about Sarah's life at all, Sophia told her. What did you do to her? Mary said, astonished. I'm going to ask you again, what exactly happened 5 years ago? Sophia asked her, this time with a more serious look. Little wench. Could she have done something to Sarah while I'm not around? Looks like I cannot escape this today, but I can push the responsibility to that old woman, Mary Jeong thought. Fine, I'll tell you, she said. It's all because of your grandmother. She sold you to a family that could not have their own child as a surrogate mother, she revealed. What did you say? Sarah said, looking perplexed. Sophia felt a pang of hurt upon learning that she had been sold as a surrogate mother. She instinctively clutched her chest in pain. Mary Jeong disclosed that the old lady Tang had seen an advertisement on the streets. It stated that the wife of a wealthy man in Hong Kong was unable to conceive, offering 3 million for a surrogate mother. The old woman believed that since the Tang family had supported Sophia for so many years, it was time for her to contribute. Mary Jeong revealed these details absent-mindedly, causing Sophia's expression to shift to sadness. Recalling the moment, Sophia noted that 2 words echoed sharply in her mind, accompanying the pain she felt. Mary Jeong concluded her revelation by stating that she had no further information. Then, where's my child? Sophia demanded, her hand hitting the glass blockage, causing Mary Zhong to tense. How would I know where your child is? Mary responded. Think about it. You're giving birth to a son for another family. The sperm is from them. Why would they leave the son for you? She questioned Sophia. Then who was the one that bought me as the surrogate mother? Sophia asked. I know even less about that. This matter was settled by that old woman from start to finish. I only heard about it afterwards, Mary explained, feeling nonchalant. You're denying everything when we're talking about the critical part, Sophia thought, still not satisfied with the information she had gathered. Okay, I've told you everything you want to know. Now, can you tell me what happened to Sarah? Mary Zhong demanded. Tell me first, where is my mother? Is she alive? And were you and grandmother involved in what happened to my mother? Sophia asked, leaving Mary stunned. What nonsense are you spouting about? Your mother was tired of living and drowned herself in the river. What has that got to do with me? Mary retorted. Sophia, I'm warning you, stop placing all your blame on me. I haven't done anything, Mary said angrily, pointing at Sophia, sweat trickling down her face. Don't panic, this woman doesn't know anything yet. Otherwise, she wouldn't have come to ask me. Besides, that woman has been dead for so many years, and her body is nowhere to be found. As long as I don't tell, who would know? Mary Zhong thought, beads of sweat forming on her face. Since what happened to my mother has nothing to do with you, then why are you so agitated? What are you afraid of? Sophia asked, observing her nervousness. Which eye of yours saw that I am agitated, that I'm scared? I'm only reminding you not to slander people, Mary said weakly, feeling perplexed. Mary Zhong, you better pray that you'll never let the cat out of the bag. Otherwise, if I find out that my mother's disappearance had something to do with you, then I will make sure your life is worse than death, Sophia said, making a promise. Okay, I've told you everything you wanted to know. Now, can you tell me what happened to Sarah? Mary asked, her hand slamming against the wall with a disgusted look. Even though I'm still detained now, I'll be able to get out in 2 days' time. As long as Sarah has the child in her tummy, there will be a chance to come back, Mary Zhong thought to herself, smiling inwardly. Sophia smiled slightly. Congratulations, your daughter might not be able to keep her baby and she's wanted now, she said, folding her hands with a stern gaze at her stepmother. What? What are you talking about? Mary Zhong asked. Your daughter tried to kill me, but she was unlucky and killed her new husband, Wayne Luo, instead. She's now on the run, Sophia told her. Impossible, impossible, you're lying. Mary Zhong exclaimed, holding her head, unable to believe what she just heard. Sarah needs your help so much now. Too bad that the earliest time you can come out is 2 days later. These 2 days should be extremely long for you, isn't it? Sophia asked her. Sophia, it's all your fault. My Sarah, Mary Zhong shouted, blaming Sophia. Sophia walked out of the police station slowly. What's going on? I've been feeling very giddy since just now. I've been barely hanging on when confronting Mary Zhong, she thought, holding onto the wall for support as she felt weak. Mary is very cunning. She's only telling me half-truths. The loopholes are too big. I could see through them, she thought, pondering over what Mary Zhong had told her. The Luo family is wealthy and reputable. Grandmother could hardly wait for me to marry Wayne Luo. It's impossible for her to interfere with it, she thought. But Sarah loves Wayne Luo a lot. Selling me would not only make them a lot of money but also make Wayne give up. Then Sarah would have the opportunity to marry Wayne. Mary Zhong, that's a good plan you have. Too bad whatever you're trying to mislead me with has been seen through by me, she thought. Next up, she was thinking, gazing at the road before everything began to go blurry. Sophia started losing grip of herself, falling. Sophia? Marco said, rushing towards her and catching her before she fell. Sophia opened her eyes softly. She remembered a glimpse of her lost memories. She recalled being held down by an unknown woman on a bed against her wishes. The woman told her she was just a surrogate tool, and she had to give birth to the child if she wanted her to spare her life. If you keep thinking of escaping, then you can forget about seeing your family again, the woman said sternly before letting go of her, leaving her alone. No, don't lock me up in the dark room, Sophia begged, her hands tied behind her back. No, I don't want to give birth to a child, she screamed, though she was already heavily pregnant. Thank you for joining us on this incredible adventure. If you enjoyed what you watched, please consider liking, subscribing, and ringing that notification bell. Your comments mean the world to us and help us improve. The next episode promises even more excitement and unexpected twists, so stay tuned as we embark on this thrilling journey together. Keep the anticipation alive, and we'll catch you in the next episode.